Hey, welcome to Two Cents episode 91. It's April 16th, 2017. This is the Live on Dr. New show we do at Dollar Reviews, and we cover tech, TV, movies, streaming, VR, and sometimes also video games. I'm Brian Gillis, Brian at dollarreviews.net if you want to send an email. And the website is the same, dollarreviews.net. We're all over the internet, and we'll get to that a little bit later. And I'm not alone. I'm here with Stephen Malmax.
Ahoy, mateys. Oh, we got quite a show as we journey deep into the news cycle to talk to you about what happened in the previous week. As you sit there in your vehicles going to your miserable jobs, wondering, I can never find an ending for these things, 'cause I feel like I'm wasting time. Well, hey, the pirate one was new. The pirate one was new. I don't know where the rest of it came from. I don't know. I got into it and then there was nothing.
It's Johnny Depp for you.
No, I don't know. I felt
movies.
it was more like Adam Sandler trying to do a pirate accent.
Sounded like someone from SpongeBob SquarePants.
What, the pirate?
As I said, this is episode 91. Last week's episode, chronologically, was actually 2 weeks ago. We missed last week. The initial reason was I was tired. The reason I was tired, and you actually haven't heard this yet, Steve, and essentially our audience hasn't either. We were kind of talking about caffeine and how, would you say you're 3 weeks sober now?
3 weeks
essentially?
sober, yeah.
Awesome. Well, from coffee
Just
anyway.
drinking water, it's nice. Drinking water, eating apples, out and running, just trying to be naturally fit.
I don't drink much caffeine either, but given that I work Sundays for like 6 hours and then I get home and typically watch a movie, do Jet to Cinema, then do this show, thankfully we changed that up this week, and I think we should maybe always record on Saturdays for Jet to Cinema. But last week I drank this like energy drink called Go Girl. That's a yerba mate thing, and I've never had that before. And maybe it's because of the drink or just that tea itself. I don't know if it's connected, but I think it is. I drank that, and when I got home after we recorded, I like lost sensation of feeling in my hand Saturday night.
Before we recorded.
Yeah, this was Saturday. The night before, like, I kind of just, like, played it off. I was literally playing video games, I was smoking weed, and I was like, okay, this has never happened to me. I've never gone numb in a body part before, but maybe, whatever. The next day, that Sunday 2 weeks ago, I drank the same drink again because I was so tired, and it totally worked. Like, I had crazy pep in my step. Like, it was essentially, like, an espresso shot. And then, like, it became more severe. Like, I literally could not feel my left hand and extremities, like my toes kind of, not really, the lower jaw, like my teeth I can feel, and that lasted essentially from Sunday. I kind of slept it off all the way until like Wednesday or Thursday. When I woke up a couple days ago, it was fine. Today it's fine, but
Was it
like
a tingly feeling or something like that?
No, like
it's not a sign of diabetes or anything?
I looked up all kinds of stuff. It was like it could be like a sign of diabetes, that alcohol abuse, but that didn't make sense to me because I was like, I only do like 1 or 2 drinks a week, maybe 3 maximum, and it's always just on one day. I don't drink every night. Like, I was looking up all kinds of different things, and I was like, it has to be this tea. So I kicked it. I didn't have caffeine until today, but I told you, like, I was drinking tea, I had espresso, I had Coke, and nothing. But it was super weird. Things from like playing video games, using my cell phone, especially driving. Driving was scary. I did not, because I'm like a left-hand dominant driver, even though I'm a righty. I don't know. I guess I switch. I'm a pinch hitter in that way.
The way that I kind of do it is I kind of keep my arm like just sitting on the left side, like, right by the door, just resting. Like it's
I do that a fair amount too.
Yeah, and then my hand's just holding the bottom of the steering wheel. Like,
but
I just kind of navigate it that way.
I generally, if I'm like in cruise mode, steer with one hand, especially turns.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't do that when I was making left-hand turns, and it fucked with my whole game. Like, I don't play guitar, but if I did, it would probably be impossible to do so. I'd have like a Marty McFly moment. I was like, the real thing that came into mind was Dave Chappelle, like, his stranger bit from stand-up. Like, oh, sit on your hand, it's like someone else is jerking you off. No, that was horrible. It was not as fun as he made it sound, literally, when I had no feeling of sensation. But yeah,
you didn't know if
thankfully
you were going to get it back.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It was kind of like our, what movie was that? Episode 4 of Dead to Cinema. Giallo.
Bay of Blood.
Bay of Blood. Yeah, it was kind of like that episode.
Where you lost
for like
your
a couple of
eyesight for, like,
days.
a bit.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I didn't lose it, but
Is
it
this going to
hurt
be
to
the
see.
last film that I see?
Yeah.
Like, do you realize how many horror fans would be hurt by that statement? They would think it's an honor.
No, I don't think so.
There's so many people love that movie. Like,
But
really love that movie. Like, I'm gonna have to give it another
out
go at
of
some point. Maybe if Terror Tuesday has a screening, but man, I
out of
really
the
wasn't
other
into that.
horror picks we've done for that show, like the others notwithstanding, we've definitely had better ones. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah. With like the years to come, I'm sure we'll get. But like just in the past couple of months, with Black Christmas, fucking Valentine's Day Massacre,
My Bloody Valentine.
or My Bloody Valentine rather. Fuck, what else? We did something else that was really good.
The Changeling.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting on topic. I'm back to normal. Hopefully it stays that way. Never drink Go Girl. If you ever see an energy drink, hopefully it was just me. Maybe they're FDA approved. Maybe I should sue them. I don't know.
I'm gonna
But there
look
were
this up
some.
right now as you keep talking, because this,
There,
yeah.
it's terrifying, right? There were some actual horrible things that happened this week. Don Rickles passed a week and a half ago. You know, lots of people have been dying lately. We like talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but he really hurt. Even though he was 90. Have you ever seen Don Rickles stand up?
I have not, but sorry, just to interrupt you real quick. I typed in Go Girl energy drink, and the first thing that came up before I was even done typing was Go Girl energy drink side effects. So,
Hey, yeah,
not a
I'm
good sign.
Can't be alone on this
The
thing.
top result, another reason to rethink the pink drink.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm alone on
Although,
that.
yeah.
Maybe
So,
I OD'd. But
energy
yeah,
drink made just for women. So maybe
if you've
that
never
could be a
seen
thing.
if you've never seen any Don Rickles stand up, you should definitely go on YouTube. Or if you want a fuller experience, the way I was really exposed to him outside of Mr. Potato Head and Toy Story,
Yeah.
and he was just a character actor in lots of things like McHale's Navy.
He was in Casino.
Casino, yeah. Like he was just like the early days of showbiz, like the golden era. He was the funny guy, and he basically invented like fucking dragging someone. Like the whatchamacallit, the roast, the comedy roast wouldn't exist essentially without his humor. He popularized that or basically invented it.
Well, that
And
wasn't, what's his name? The guy that's only known for doing that.
it's basically Don Rickles. Like his nickname was Mr.
What's
Warmth.
the other guy? Jeff
He-
Ross. That's who I'm thinking of.
Jeff Ross is like 30 years removed, though. Like, literally, Don Rickles is 90. Jeff Ross is like maybe 45. Okay? Like, Don Rickles was past his prime before Jeff Ross was born. All right? But yeah, his name is Mr. Warmth. He would like do stand-up specials in Vegas, like long residencies. Track down this John Landis documentary if you haven't seen it. It's called Mr. Warmth, the Don Rickles Story, or Don Rickles Project. And it's about like an hour and some change. It was HBO comedy only thing. I'm not sure if you could find it because it probably didn't get a physical release. And as far as I'm aware, because I checked HBO Go and Now, it wasn't on there. I also checked Amazon Prime. I don't think it was on there either. But really good. Like everyone does
There
an
was the
interview
time
for
to bring
this.
it back. Now's the time.
All of the talk show hosts then they were on it, like how much they love him, and it's also filled with like a full set of his, and he's just making fun of fucking everyone. It doesn't matter if you're Chinese, Japanese, black, white, Iraqi, you're all targets, and it's just a type of humor that's super popular nowadays. Like you know, if you're like playing video games with your buddies, you're gonna fucking talk shit about one another. Except he did this in the way that fuck, what's his name? What's his name would be one of his bits. Oh shit, Lenny Bruce. How he kind of popularized the dirty comedy routine that Amy Schumer owes an entire career to. Don Rickles, like he did it in a non-dirty way, except he was very rude, but in like the "you love me" type of way. So yeah, look up his material. You can find lots of it on YouTube. Definitely try to find the documentary. The saddest thing about his passing isn't that he's gone, because once again he was 90 years old. But Toy Story 4, which got delayed because they'd rather have Incredibles 2 come out sooner, and also Finding Dory and all the other sequels, Cars 3 that are on the horizon. 3 of the next Pixar movies are sequels or remakes or something connected to an earlier work. They did not record his dialogue yet. So hopefully they have some archival like recordings that they didn't use from the prior 3 films or any of the specials, or
Honestly,
they get
they're
a
probably
sound
gonna
alike.
get someone's that sounds alike, because the same thing happened with what's his I don't know his
No.
name, Jim something, the guy that played Slinky, because he died before Toy
The
Story
first
3
one
came
came
out.
out. Yeah. Oh, I thought he
Yeah,
died before the
so-
first one.
No. He was Slinky in the first two. The guy that played him. That I think he died like after the second one came out. Like
What I
pretty soon
hope they
after.
do
So they'll
is
probably
kind of
get someone that sounds like him and keep the character in there.
I hope what they do instead is kind of the Cars thing when Paul Newman died. Instead of like getting someone cast as him again, they just left the character out of the movie. I hope either Potato Head loses because he always loses a body part. He always loses a body part. Let him lose his mouth in the very beginning, and then he doesn't find it till the end. Something like that. Something
could work.
cute.
Yeah, that'd be very
totally
Pixar
work.
to do that. Yeah.
I would love if they do something like that. I'm sure. I'm still hopeful that Rashida Jones's script is awesome, and as long as they don't bust another like, oh, where was Bo Peep? Let's leave her out of the movie thing, and they do that entire thing with Potato Head. I'm just hoping
finding her too. So
exactly. It's a murder. No, it's a mystery rom com. My favorite mishmash. Paper Towns. Go see it. But yeah, no. I can't even speak right now. Condolences to his family, and I hope Pixar does the right thing.
The man lived a full life too, so rest in peace.
Yeah. The other one, and this is just like out of fucking left field, and I'm sure you know about this. Charlie Murphy died at the age of 57 of leukemia. It's like we all remember Chappelle's Show for lots of reasons, but most of it is the Charlie Murphy, the true Hollywood stories.
Yeah.
Like between the Rick James story and the Prince one,
with, yeah.
and the fact that the third season, quote unquote, the lost episodes of Chappelle's Show was Charlie Murphy hosting the fucking show. Like he was that show. I would argue almost as much as Dave Chappelle was.
No, he's a supporting player, but still an important part of it.
More than supporting, though, it was to the point where I was seeing articles right at the time of his passing where they were saying, like, Chappelle's Show was a great sketch comedy show, but it didn't become iconic until that Rick James episode. And sure enough, like, that's the one that you're most likely, even today, going to find someone quoting just because of how fucking outlandish it was for a generation of people that didn't even know who Rick James was. It's like maybe
and,
Super
I
Freak.
probably fall under that category too, where like I knew Rick James's music, but then I didn't really associate it with his name until I saw those episodes.
Do you really know Rick James's music though? Because if you don't, he has.
You recognize it when you hear it, but then after seeing that episode, probably that's where I was like, okay, that's Rick James. Now I fucking know.
The album that Super Freak is on and all of his hits is an actually great album. It's called Street Songs. It has Give It To Me Baby and Super Freak, but then it has this song called Make Love To Me, which is amazing. It has this one called Call Me. It's like it's from 1981. He looks like a badass on the cover. He's wearing like these red boots, like rain boots that go past his knees. He's wearing like pleather. And he's just like standing up against a street light with his fucking dreads, just like in the sketch. And it's like, this is the biggest guy. He got a gold ring that says Unity. Rest in peace. I hope that, Eddie Murphy doesn't stay quasi-retired for much longer, and he comes out and does something in honor of his
brother.
brother.
If he came back and did stand-up.
That's not happening.
Yeah, and if he was
I don't
dead,
want to see that happen, to be honest. In the same way that I'm not looking forward to Chris Rock's specials on Netflix. I just, after his last one.
The Dave Chappelle stand-ups, I watched both of them actually on Netflix. I had them on in the background, but they're good, but they're not great. It's almost like Dave Chappelle didn't really age that well or just change that well.
You can only stay. Comedy is all about topicality, and if you've been out of the limelight
he was
for so
perfect
long,
at the time, and now it's like, well, I don't,
It's
he's still a funny
even,
guy, but he's not.
It's even less about that. I think it's more so when you're literally the biggest comic on the planet, and then all the comics the generation after you kind of imitate your style and steal what worked for you and make it theirs, then you kind of lose your luster. You can only look at Dane Cook, for instance. Like, everyone likes talking shit about him. He's so fucking lame. He steals jokes, like whatever. But you can't
he's
say
also a loud, obnoxious comedian, which is very
sure. But
he's one of the guys that just makes noises and weird faces. And
when he was popular, though, it didn't matter. Like, he was the biggest guy on the planet. Like, people I was in high school with it was like more close to the end of middle school.
Were buying. That loved his stuff.
They were buying his CDs, and I saw his comedy specials, and they were good. Like, I enjoyed him as a leading man for those couple of years when he was in Hollywood too. Like, he was very likable. Like Employee of the Month, not a good movie, not a great rom-com, but he's pretty good in it. Like, he's
What's
solid
the
in it.
one
Good Luck
with Jessica
Chuck.
Alba?
Yeah, Good Luck Chuck.
That's it. Yeah.
He's good in that too. Like and then he did the serious stuff like Mr. Brooks, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
I actually like that movie.
That movie was so weird.
No, that movie's good. It like except for the scenes with Demi Moore in it. Demi Moore is the one that brings that down because it becomes a standard cops trying to track down the serial killer thriller. But the rest of the stuff is a really good character study. Like,
totally off
I actually
topic.
really like that movie. But yeah,
Rest in peace, comedians. We had a show to do. This is where we plug where we are, as I said, dollarreviews.net. But if you don't like going to websites proper, we're on social media, no issue. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WordPress, Tumblr, Dollar Reviews, you'll find us. And if you like to hear us instead of look at what we do, Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, SoundCloud. If you search for Dollar Reviews, you're going to find us. If you're even too lazy to do that, Google Debt to Cinema, DEBT to Cinema. You'll find us right on the front. We got lots of content. Last time I checked, it's like 250 hours, maybe a little bit more. We got lots of shows, and we'll be talking about those a little bit later. If you want to support us, we're going to be doing like ad breaks. You can support us by going to patreon.com/dollarreviews. You can see all the different things. The reason we're going to be having these ad breaks, one of the things that you can pay for is actually for us to advertise during those breaks themselves. We're going to begin with some follow-up since a lot of stuff happened in the last 2 weeks, and these are actually relevant to 2 Cents episode 90. Barry Jenkins, he's got the Amazon show in the work. It's an adaptation of this book that's part of Oprah's book club. It's called The Underground Railroad. Super relevant, especially for a black filmmaker. That book just won the Pulitzer Prize. So you got the guy that just directed the Best Picture movie about black youth making an Amazon show about black history, and it was just deemed the most important work of fiction of the last year. That's
no way you can fuck this up now.
Yeah, that's Triple Crown now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be one of those, wow, you really need Amazon for this show, huh? Yeah. So I see lots of at least monthly, maybe even annual Prime memberships going through the roof whenever that lands, especially if Oprah's in it, which he probably will be now, because why the fuck not? In that same light, too, Annapurna, who we were talking about, because I made it was like a string of jokes. It went from, MGM's found a new outlet. They're on Snapchat. And I was like, okay, actually, they got a real partner. It's Annapurna. They're going to be distributing their international pictures. They took that a step further last week, and they now have a streaming deal that happened 2 Fridays back. They're going to be exclusively on Hulu, which is a big blow to Amazon. It's going to be exclusive Pay 1 home windowing. Also includes Magnolia and IFC documentary films on Hulu, which isn't so bad considering they lost Criterion like about a year ago. They have Disney and Epix deals also, but what's crazy here isn't their library. That's, whatever. Like, they have the Detroit movie coming out with Catherine Bigelow that I still haven't seen the trailer of. I don't want to. I'll wait to just see that one in theaters. But rather, as I said, Hulu is getting Disney and Epix. Epix is now 100% MGM. They just paid $1 billion to buy out Paramount and Lionsgate. We saw this happening when Lionsgate left Epix. They threw their shares away when they bought Stars, and it was like, well, Paramount is fucking drowning in debt. They need to get out. Like, China's not giving them any money from that deal that they supposedly built, and their movies aren't the hottest tickets. And now MGM, which needed a way to just distribute their films, has their own in-house brand for movie streaming and TV. They can do Netflix now. They can do Amazon. They are a competitor, which is really brilliant. I don't see them doing a James Bond movie on Epix, but as far as I would be aware, they still have the Lionsgate and Paramount library included in Epix streaming, at least until they have to re-up those contracts.
Well, actually, it's weird, because I think that some of the Lionsgate stuff ends up on HBO Go now, so, I don't
think that's going to be for long.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird how that works, because The Hunger Games is on Amazon, but then John Wick ended up on HBO, so I don't know how that choice is made.
It's maybe what it is
isn't the Lionsgate logo that comes up. It's not like Summit,
you know what I think it is.
So it's really weird.
What I was gonna say, isn't John Wick Summit? John Wick 2 is.
No, John Wick is Lionsgate.
Number 2 Summit.
The first one I'm pretty sure is Lionsgate.
What it could have been? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Is it a relativity thing? I don't
maybe.
know.
I'm not sure.
It really throws me off.
We'll find out when La La Land goes streaming where that lands. Is gonna.
Well, I don't think Summit
that and
ends
Power
up
Rangers
on Summit hasn't ended up on Amazon, has it?
No, Step Up movies, for instance, are on Netflix when they are on there. So
The
that might
Disney
have.
ones or the Summit ones?
Oh yeah, the Disney ones.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's so weird.
You know what? I think Divergent, it was Summit, so I'm pretty sure that one's
That was
HBO
Amazon.
Go.
Well, that was HBO and then
Divergent's on
also
Amazon?
Amazon. It was both.
God, it's such a mess.
It's really weird. It's going to
Yeah.
become less of a mess, though. Like, in this way, in the vertical integrated way, when AT&T and Time Warner are in cahoots, you know, HBO is only going to be on DirecTV and or HBO Go directly. And then, at the same time, you know, you already get it for free if you're an AT&T subscriber and you meet the certain criteria if you have their unlimited plan, you know? And so it's going to be the same, I would imagine, for MGM's content being on Epix, Lionsgate stuff on Stars, Annapurna on Hulu for however long that lasts, A24 and Amazon, Amazon's own shit, Netflix's own shit, and then whoever they're able to string up in their deal. Like, how much longer is the HBO exclusivity content on Amazon going to last? Like, maybe 2 more years? Because as of right now, it is definitely a better deal to have an Amazon 10-month subscription than a $15 a month HBO subscription,
Yeah.
considering most of that content, besides the new stuff, is available on Amazon anyway, in conjunction with their Amazon content and their much bigger and better library outside of tentpoles like Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman and whatever else they throw at you. But like, if you want to see Westwood or 6 Feet Under or The Sopranos or Girls up until like season 3 or something like that, you can do it on Amazon and get 2-day shipping and get Twitch Prime and get this and that
And everything else that's on there.
so many fucking things for $10. So I don't know. That can only be a couple more years. In the same way that Disney is either going to buy a streamer or they're going to make their own streaming outlet, whatever they decide to do, and that's going to leave Netflix and that's going to leave Hulu and it's going to be gone. And you know, like they, in the same way that they never did Ultraviolet, they were just Disney movies anywhere.
And they're still doing that.
Yeah. So they have the power. They're going to do it. The last little follow up we got here is about politics. We haven't talked about this in a long time, and this has nothing to do with tax day because that really fucking was stupid and didn't matter. It's the important topic that no one cared about because they like just protesting over nothing. Republicans took a huge step 2 weeks ago to killing net neutrality, and they said that internet service providers can freely share user data with companies now, including web history. Yay, this is 100% legal now. So literally everything you do on the internet, through either who you pay your internet bill to or maybe Google or Facebook or whatever, can freely wield and deal your browsing history to better sell you shit, which Amazon already does in a very scary fashion. Mm-hmm. If you ever look up something on Amazon and then you go on Facebook a day or two later, they're going to try to sell you the thing that you were looking at.
I feel like everything is already like that. Like, you know, whatever you look up on Google searches, like, they keep that information and they prioritize it with how you like, or hell, even on YouTube or fucking Netflix or Amazon, when you're looking at something, they recommend you what you're going to like, or just based on what you're looking at if you search it or what you've seen.
It's all algorithms and, whatchamacallit, smart computing and that kind of shit. And, you know, they want us to think it's for the better, like digital assistants like Siri and Google Now,
we
and
know what you like,
and Bixby on Samsung. It's like, I don't want you to know. I like, it's convenient.
Like, hey, I don't fucking know what I like. You know, I take risk. I'm not that fucking obvious of a person.
It's convenient when you're lazy, when you're watching Netflix and the movie ends and it goes, maybe you'll like this. Like when it's not them just like trying to throw their new show at you, like 13 Reasons Why or like Stranger Things, when it's actually a movie connected to the movie that you're watching, which doesn't happen much anymore, but it used to happen all the time. That is awesome. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to watch that thing they pitch me. It's, you know, I have my instant queue. I'll watch something from there. Or better yet, I'll add something new to it. That you were talking about a double feature.
Interested in or what you're in the mood for.
Yeah. Yeah, like
sometimes I will stumble upon something new and I'll be like, yeah, that does sound interesting, and it sounds like a small little indie. You know, I want to support that and see more stuff like that. I mean, but
you were complimenting my double feature of We Are the Best and Los Punks the other night. Yeah. I used to do that kind of shit all the time. Like if I watched movies, like before I had a job, I would just watch double features.
You would do thematic double features. Your Letterboxd account proves that.
Mm-hmm. And I would plan them in advance, too, because I would tweet it out. I would do my hashtag what I watched today before I even watched the first one.
I
And
remember that. Like, I thought that
either
was interesting, and then you told me about Letterboxd too, and I was like, yeah, that's actually way
much
more
better.
useful than I thought it would be.
Yeah, like
Like, it's cool
I
because I
wish
can look back and find out like exactly where I was at that point in time. It's interesting how that works.
I wish I still did that. The reason I don't is it's not necessarily that I don't have the free time. It's more so I don't know. It's like I think
It's
I
like
just try to
I've
limit how much exposure I have to the media. Or maybe I just get so focused on reporting for this show that I stop having as much fun as I used to, or like I've kind of slowed my education through cinema, and every watch is important now versus when it used to be like 2 or 3 movies a night every couple of days. Like I would at the end of college and
hmm
like the year or two after, I would average 200 movies a year. Now I'm like around 100, which is crazy to think about. That just like I didn't supplement that by watching more TV now. I
It's
watch
like, let me
even
ask you
less
this
TV
though:
now than I
does
did then.
doing this podcast almost make it seem like watching that stuff almost feels like work in some way? That it's less enticing to watch
Sometimes
stuff like,
it's more so there's certain movies that I want to watch, and I go, I'll wait until that's a cinema pick. I'll
yeah,
like We Are the Best. I almost didn't watch that because I was
you were
thinking about
considering it.
exactly. But then I went, no, fuck that. I'm just gonna. It's on Netflix. I'm just gonna watch it right now. Sometimes I don't want to have a conversation about a movie. I just want to watch it and enjoy it or not enjoy it. And that was like a case in point, you know. But
Yeah,
at the same time,
sometimes I don't know. Well,
it,
I'll
it
let you
like it
finish.
seems like work. It just yeah, it does seem
Yeah,
like work. It's more
see,
so.
that's kind of why, like, well, for me, it's like I stopped rating everything. Like, now I'm
Uh,
just like, okay, if I'm doing it for the podcast, yes, I'll rate it. That's part of it. And there is something pretty cool about rating stuff, but then I'm just kind of like, I just want to try to enjoy something and base it on just whether or not I enjoyed it or not. I don't want to
I
think too hard on
I
everything,
find
and that's
myself rating a movie less during a screening than I used to, especially at the beginning of the podcast. Like I remember even in college just watching something or high school especially
hmm
going, is this a 7 out of 10 or is this an 8? And like every scene I would kind of change that number in my head. By the time I get to it, I come up with that like perfect number. And now I just finished it. I'm like, that was 3 stars. No, it's 2.5. That's 3. It's like I gave
it's
Sandy
weird.
Wexler
Like,
3 stars. You know?
there are different lenses that you watch things. Like, I'm writing a lot more now these days, so when
Uh,
I'm looking at stuff and it's usually for pleasure, then I tend to admire more the structure and seeing, sometimes even if it's completely different to the story I'm writing, there's little things like, I see how something is done for pacing, and then I try to think if I can integrate something similar in a place where it belongs in what I'm doing. And it's really weird how it works, but like I find like sometimes I put unnecessary stress on how I have to watch a movie, and it's kind of stupid. It's like I should really just be there just to sit down and relax and
mhm.
enjoy that I'm being told a story. I shouldn't like overthink it. It's really dumb, but I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I get that pressure, and it's like I'm ruining the experience for myself, which is really dumb.
I think that's why more times than not I enjoy the stupid comedies like the Lego Batman film
hmm
or fucking Biodome the other night. I just I know I can turn my brain off. There's not anything that's gonna really make me think. I can just sit there tongue in cheek and have a good time. Like I know it's escapism, like in the purest form. It's like I'm not here anymore. I'm on this adventure with these people, and they're basically gay, but not really. And that's the case for both of those films.
Yeah, but
Um,
just to bring that back full circle, like
mhm.
getting to Amazon, it's like I feel like that's almost a factor of that. Like when you're told that you're being recommended something, it's almost like there's pressure that you should enjoy it, especially when you see all the ratings on there and how high they are, and like almost it's like you're expected to. And I don't like that's it's a small factor of the bigger part of the news here, but it's like I don't know, yeah, it's kind of dangerous,
Like
isn't it?
something
It's like a little
beautiful.
factor where you feel like you have to think a certain way.
Something that would be beautiful that would only really be able to exist in virtual reality. Say you finished watching a movie on Netflix or Amazon or whatever, and as soon as you finished watching it, you were like sent to a virtual chat room that begins to get populated by other people that also just finished that film, either
Uh-huh.
for the first or second or third time. Like it will know. Well,
That makes sense. It's the
the
evolution of the
cookies.
blog
Yeah,
or
like
thread.
cookies
Yeah.
will track you by then. And instead of having a conversation that's fragmented based on when people reply in a forum, This is just literally in the way that, I was amazed by Werewolf Within on PSVR the other night, or a couple of weeks ago now. I haven't played it since, but anyway, it would like be a similar idea where you're just in this space and you can talk to these people and they seem like they're actually there with you, and you can talk about this specific film. And you could do the same thing for like a Netflix show, because I feel the reason why the binge model is so it's just isolating is, with rare exception, the movie or that show or whatever it is only a talking point for about a week. It's like the week it aired, and then the week that no one gives a shit about it anymore because the week's over. And yet, if you had this kind of forum, this VR forum like this, you could be really late to something, like years or decades late, like you just saw 2001 for the first time, and you could have a conversation with people that also just saw it for the first time. And you could bond over this, that there is maybe not that glass ceiling of, oh, it's already one of the best movies ever made. I have to respect it like that and have a conversation in regards and reverence to that fact. Instead, you can just have a frank conversation with these nobodies that you'll never meet because it's just in a digital realm anyway, which is a lot different than something like on Reddit or on Letterboxd or on Twitter or on Facebook, where these are real people that have accounts, even if it's like a joking manner, that either take themselves seriously or not serious enough or whatever this is. In Werewolves Within, and it's not the only VR experience out there where this is possible. It's the only one that I've experienced. Like, that was, seriously, the real world was out the window. I was just having a good time in this digital realm, and I kind of forgot that it wasn't the real world. It seemed just as real as my reality. It was a virtual one.
It was just a room, and you're having fun.
Like, that's the kind of shit that is prevalent in Ready Player One. Even though it's not exactly on the page, it's kind of in between the lines. It's reference in what's probably going to be montage material in Spielberg's film. And by the time that movie comes out, a little bit less than a year now, we hopefully will have that by then. VR LA, the big virtual reality expo, the biggest one on the planet, just happened in Los Angeles this past weekend. Sadly, I wasn't there. I should have tried to go. Hopefully next year. I know some people that actually went, and you do too. Andreas Mahali was there. Andreas, rather. I kind of wanted to send him.
I have not seen that dude in forever.
He has Instagram, and he posted like a couple of pictures from there, and I felt like send him. Maybe I still will, like, just send him a message like, what did you see? You want to come on the show? You want to talk to two people about your experience at the thing that I wish I was
saw
at?
Him, he was living in Santa Barbara, but I know he moved out, I think, like a couple years ago now.
Oh no, yeah, he's definitely not doing that. Like, I was on his Facebook. I think he works for basically affordable housing type firm type thing. I'm not sure exactly. I think he's called like not Greenpeace, but Green.
I think I have an idea. I just don't want to say it on the show.
Yeah, like that seemed like what it is, which is awesome because he's a super nice guy, and that sounds like a great fit. Moving on with
one of the funniest people I know.
Moving on with the show, this is just a quick tidbit. We're talking about Netflix, The Defenders, their MCU, but not really team-up show is going to be coming soon. It has a date, August 18th. So I guess that's their real summer release, since Thor Ragnarok is straight up Christmas time or late fall. That's so weird. Thanksgiving
it's like early
superhero
to
film.
November.
But it's still bizarre.
Hey, that was when Thor 2 was released, I think the first weekend of November or the second weekend. So
that movie was poo-poo though. So, that's not a good example.
It made money. It was a hit.
How the fuck did it make money?
Because it was Thor and the Avengers was so fucking hot and people enjoyed that movie. It was not a great movie, but it was a good diversion. It was a fairly fun time.
Either way, Defenders is going to be...
they make money then. Fucking Doctor Strange came out early to mid-November last year. It's a good weekend. That made money.
Defenders is going to be peak of summer when people are on summer vacation. When people are staying home because it's so hot.
Ragnarok's the first weekend of November, so yeah, it's the same deal.
Same deal, but it's still,
it'll make money.
It's out of it's past blockbuster season. But then again, post, I know you don't like me saying this, but in a post Batman versus Superman world, blockbuster is year round. There is no, it's between this month and this month.
Well, it's not just that. It's like, we've already had,
Deadpool and Logan.
The Fate of the Furious.
April.
There was Deadpool, there was Logan, there was Beauty and the Beast.
It's like Easter weekend is the beginning of spring, and spring is pretty much summer
Still, you
anyway.
have these huge tent poles. The Fate of the Furious is a $250 million movie that just broke the record for
Yeah, it's half
the
a billion
biggest
already.
worldwide opening ever. I mean, like
Yeah, it stole
and
it from
that's
its other film.
yeah, it's a huge tentpole release in April, like in
And we already
mid-April.
know
So
that that's going to get beat by Star Wars Christmas time because
pretty sure, yeah.
it
Why
has
wouldn't
to.
it? No,
I mean,
like these records don't mean shit anymore.
they really
to me.
don't.
They're
They
broken
mean
all the time.
they mean something for the stockholders and people on the board. You know, they
Yeah.
can get their big fat bonus for just like a quick minute. Even though I haven't seen this one, you haven't. I don't really have the biggest intention to. It's getting bad reviews. It's not made that much money stateside. It maybe
Yeah.
crossed 100 million, which is shit compared to Furious 7. But then again, we still got two more, and people are going to see those anyway. And if they made a Jurassic Park crossover, I'd see that. Because why the fuck not? You can tell me we're
In
gonna out
space.
in space
Please,
especially,
yeah.
but like if there was a tag
How
team race they
amazing
had around
would
a
that be
T-Rex
when you
with like
find out that the
velociraptors,
Fast and the Furious takes place in the same world as Jurassic Park. Like
It
you
would
watch
make
that
sense.
first movie and you're like, the history of Jurassic Park, like Isla Nublar exists in that fucking movie. That'd
it
be
would
crazy.
totally make sense. Like in a world where it's not too
Rob
out of
Cohen's
the
played in
world
Jurassic Park
to
world. You realize that, right?
to race onto a plane on a tarmac or to like fucking have a bank vault behind your Dodge Charger. You know, if you can do
Yeah.
that.
Steven Spielberg's world would exist in the same world as Fast and the Furious. That's
That would be
crazy
awesome.
to think about.
I imagine
you know,
if
as
Spielberg.
tired as I am of franchises, I really would not mind that.
What if Spielberg directed Fast 10? And there's a set piece at Universal Studios Hollywood. Like they make it meta.
You can't see it
Like,
right now, but
they-
it will never happen. But the smile that's on my face right now,
What if they raced into the Jurassic Park attraction? And like Vin Diesel fucking jumped through that T-Rex's mouth. Make it happen, Universal. Put in Tom
just
Cruise's
hit
mummy
the
too.
nos and it just
Put 'em
powers
all in
through
there.
it as it's driving in like that.
Put-
That would
Put
be crazy.
put the monsters in with the Fast and the Furious, with the Jurassic Park, all your franchises at once to try to like go up against Warner Brothers and
Do a
and
crazy
Disney.
jump off a cliff, fall into a T-Rex's mouth, and then hit the nos as it just powers through, like fucking through its throat.
And give
That would be
Rob
fucking
Cohen like a
crazy.
cameo, or let him direct like a single scene, just kind of like in that, hey, you helped start the franchise. Like imagine if they made like a pastiche Fast and Furious movie at the end of the franchise, like they call it like F11 or whatever, and every director gets a little thing. So you bring back fucking Rob Cohen and Singleton, and you get Justin Lin. You get them all. They like F. Gary Gray. They all direct like a little thing, or like their episodes. Maybe it's like a TV show. They're like snippets.
Mm-hmm.
They fucked up the name of this movie. They call it the Fate of the Furious. That could have been
It should have been called Fate.
technically it is
Just
Fate.
F8.
I mean that
well,
the hashtag, the trending topic is F8.
yeah, but that should have been the title of the movie.
But
And instead, they
Fate of
fucked
the
that up,
Furious
but-
should have been the final movie's name. But we'll see. We'll see how they top it.
I
We
don't
know
even
they're gonna
what
flip it
happens in
again.
the
It's gonna be
movie, so-
Fast 9, of course.
Yeah.
The Fine and the Furious.
Yeah, I don't know. I am kind of tired of this franchise, but like, hey, if Jurassic Park is in there, sure, I would go.
We'd
Like,
all go.
as far as I'm concerned, like the seventh one is kind of, it is the end of many things, so like it's kind of done at that point. Like
hope-
I don't even know if I'll see like these last three. I'll probably watch them all consecutively, like
What's a
in a
drift?
rental viewing period, to be honest. So I'll probably wait a very long time till I even watch The Fate of the Furious.
What do you mean drift? Best line in the franchise. Here's some teasers really quick for our headlines. If you want to stick around, these are what they'll be. And if you're too lazy, you can skip ahead about an hour and you'll catch up to what they are. Things we got on the docket. Netflix's push for LA. We got YouTube TV, which is a thing now. We got the details on that since it's live in 6 markets. The Time Warner AT&T merger. More info on that. AOL and Verizon have officially kind of tied the knot almost. Music streaming war for exclusives, and finally, the Marvel Cinematic Universe TV show expansion slot. There's a couple of things going on at Disney's Freeform that you might be interested in. Anyway, to kind of start the show, here's the big movie news. This is actually more TV than movies before we get into full cinematic mode, but it is related because Cannes, or Festival du Cannes, if you want to be all French about it, has officially brought in TV. Twin Peaks is going to premiere at the festival, so is Top of the Lake. Both are going to show off their first 2 episodes, which is a pretty big fucking deal considering this is David Lynch and Jane Champion, 2 huge filmmakers, especially in the art house cinema circle, 2 of the bigger shows coming out this year. And it makes sense since this isn't the first time a film festival has been accepting TV, but the first of this caliber, and even bigger. Just on our last episode, we're talking about how the Venice Film Festival has a VR circuit now. Cannes is doing VR too. Inarritu and Lubezki, their VR experiment called Carne and Arena, is going to be shown off there initially. I think it's something like 6 or 8 minutes. Who knows where this is going to land? Hopefully, it's
what does that mean? Like meat and what?
It's more like, I don't know, like what that exact translation. In the same way that what is it? Los Amores Perros. The first time I saw that title, I thought, like, must love dogs, essentially. Like, I couldn't quite translate it, and someone had to break it down for me. It means loves a bitch. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I was going to say it's like the lovers or something, but yeah, loves a bitch, that works.
Yeah, loves a bitch. But yeah, I don't know what this exactly translates into. I think it has something to do with, like, what it's like to be an immigrant, because, you know, that's what happens when you're a political filmmaker in these political times. But I'm curious where it lands. Maybe it gets purchased. It's not too out of the realm of possibility that either Netflix or Amazon or maybe even Oculus buys this fucking thing. We'll have, like, more information about that in a second. But they're not the only filmmakers that are going to be there. Way bigger. Yorgos Lanthimos, even though I'm not a fan of his. Michael Haneke, Sofia Coppola, Todd Haynes, Noah Baumbach, Bong Joon-ho. Lots of people are going to be competing for the Palme d'Or. And the most strange thing about that is that 4 of them are actually already having those films at streaming before or right after they premiere at Cannes. Todd Haynes, his is at Amazon. Noah Baumbach and Bong Joon-ho, theirs are at Netflix. Sofia Coppola, she's in the running too. She'll probably land Amazon. Who knows where Lanthimos goes? Probably A24 again, so that would technically be Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, Coppola's worked with A24 as well.
Yeah. So the real cool thing here too is, and we talk about this during our Sandy Wexler episode of Dollar Reviews, which you can listen to at the time of you're listening to this. It's already out there. Noah Baumbach's The Meyerowitz Stories stars Adam Sandler, among other people, and it's on Netflix, which Amazon has a big deal with. And so I don't see a Baumbach film winning the Palme. But if it were,
unless it's really fucking good.
Unless it's really fucking good.
I mean, like, he's enough of a voice at this point that it could very well be. He could very well.
I really liked Francis Ha, but then again, I still have
not seen it.
I saw it in New York. Here's the one movie I saw there. I saw it at some, like,
bit of a bias there.
Yeah, I saw it in some small, like, art house theater on the Upper East Side, and I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna see a movie about New Yorkers while I'm here.
I
real
love it
fast.
when that happens, when you're, like, in a location and you go to that cinema and you got the feel of the place that you're at and you see something. Like, you can't
When
separate
in Rome,
that for life, though.
When in Rome, watch a movie about Romans. But yeah, that'd be crazy because a streamer, Amazon just won some Oscars. They won Best Original Screenplay, Best Actor. Netflix won Best Documentary, essentially. Now they could win a much bigger award, even bigger than Best Picture, especially in just, filmic circles. There's 3 possibilities here. 3 people are in the running that are streaming. Amazon or Netflix has a good chance, and they have an even better chance, matter of fact. Let me steal this from the headlines because it works better right now. Where the fuck is it? Yeah. So we're talking about Cannes, but Amazon is going big at Tribeca too. So they've already got these films. This is what the fuck they're doing there, and this is something that already existed that I wasn't even aware of. At Tribeca, they're offering $100,000 plus royalty for video-on-demand exclusive rights as part of its Film Festival Stars program. So apparently they introduced this at Sundance this past year, and the way it works is you sign with us. We have a 24-month exclusive window basically, you get a ton of money, and you have a vehicle for people to actually watch your film. It's not even just for films, it also works for shorts, and it's kind of the same deal. When it comes to the shorts, it must land on Amazon Instant Video by next March. 12 films were signed to this Film Festival Stars program at Sundance. It's like, this is the program, like, if you don't get the Netflix deal, if you don't get the big Amazon push, you know, if you're not like Wiener Dog or something like that, if you're just, hey, we made a movie that made it into this film festival, it's kind of good, it has some notoriety, we want it on a marketplace
how, like,
the
Sundance Channel and all that stuff works.
Yeah,
right?
like,
yeah.
well, how it used to work.
It's just bringing it to streaming now.
Yeah. I mean, before Sundance and IFC sold their souls to AMC and they started doing commercials, yeah, that's the way it used to work. Fucking always on, slightly off. No, you're not always on, because you show commercials every 20 minutes. I stopped watching those networks a long time ago. Like, basically when Portlandia...
commercials now until you said
No, Portlandia killed IFC. That... Seriously, when the first season of that fucking show began, is when they started doing commercials. And now a whole generation of people that love that network, A, aren't aware that it's owned by AMC Networks, and B, don't even know about Once Upon a Time there were no commercials. I think the first time I saw Clerks was on there.
Really?
Maybe not Clerks, but something in that realm. Like
just something from Kevin Smith, like Chasing Amy,
or like Before Sunrise,
or Slacker,
okay? Or Slack. Well, no, I rented Slacker. But even still, like, it was a completely different thing.
90s independent film.
Yeah, a whole movement. Like, Sex Lies videotape, I think I saw on Cinemax, but the same idea, you know? Like, they would still show, like, their older things. They would do... I'm sure they still have the same programming. It's just it's not the same when there's a commercial break. You are editing the film. You're putting unnecessary breakages in the action that ruin the flow of what you're showing right now. It's like in the same way...
very odd for an independent channel that's supposed to, you know, savor cinema.
Yeah, we're two networks in that case. Sundance does the same thing, I believe. Fucking burn in hell. Burn in hell commercials. Big time. Unless you want to pay us, and then, you know, we'll do an ad break in a little bit, you know? And
we
then,
don't mind doing them if we plan for it.
Then
we're
it's
like TV
okay.
in that sense.
It's like, we're a news show. All news shows have breakages. It's
this
natural.
isn't a radio play, so...
Even radio plays had advertisements in the middle of it. There was product placement.
Well, they plan for that, though. They have cliffhangers.
It's that we could plan for that. We could plan for that. So yeah, Amazon is going big. They're trying to sign the next thing. They're trying to really expand this auteurship that they've already kind of implemented over the past year or so. They, thus far, are the streamer that really encourages filmmakers with voices to release content. And so they even want to be a vehicle to nurture talent at its nascency, which I think is a really cool way of not just building their library and getting exclusives, but also telling filmmakers, like, hey, don't worry if you didn't get signed by a major player. You could get with us, and then a whole audience, a whole generation of film viewers, even younger ones, could potentially be your fans in the future. Like, Donnie Darko, today, I know it has this big 4K restoration that's going around right now. 20 years ago, well, almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah, it's that movie's like 17 years old now.
That would have been a streaming movie today if it was released now.
Yeah.
There's no way that would have its theatrical release.
No,
and it would have been
not
just as popular as it got over time if that had happened. Which is just something like, where would I almost said Linklater.
Richard Kelly?
Yeah, where would Kelly's career have gone if he was 10 years later? If he was made his film 10 years later? Southland Tales is still going to be a dead
cinema at the right time too.
Southland Tales is still going to be a dead cinema. I still have to see that. I'm waiting.
Not seen it?
No, I'm waiting for a theatrical screening of that.
I told you I went to one, right? And he was at the Q&A for it.
I'll wait for another one. I'll do it.
Yeah, that was back in like September. That was right before my trip to Europe.
Unless I find that shit at the Goodwill, and then I'll just watch it that way.
It's a very interesting
I've tried to
movie.
watch
like,
it. I mean, The Rock is in
liking it more. I saw that movie theatrically too, so.
The Rock and Justin Timberlake and Sean William Scott.
What's her face?
Isn't Jessica
Buffy the
Biel in
Vampire
it?
Slayer. No.
And I know it has a huge cast.
What's her name? Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What's her name?
It's Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, she's
Or
in
you
it.
could have said,
And a lot of people from SNL.
shit, what's the other Buffy? Uh, who is it?
I do not know.
I know. In the Buffy movie before the show came out. It's basically the pilot, but it's a movie. Uh, Christy Swanson. Yeah. That's not a cheat. You can't tell, but my Google Chrome is not open. That was not a cheat, guys. Talking about filmmakers and trying new things, though, Neil Blomkamp, who's kind of in a lull right now since his Alien movie was squashed by Fox, is going to be making experimental films and releasing them on Steam. Steam is notable because they are the premier virtual reality client currently, and also the #1 PC digital marketplace for games. They entered the movie realm about a year ago. It began with Lionsgate. Before they decided to do Stars, they started selling the Hunger Games and shit over Steam. And then they did kind of cool stuff also with John Wick. There's a John Wick VR game. And if you pre-ordered that, you got a free copy of John Wick 1. So they have done cool things, but this is the first that I'm aware of that a filmmaker is actually going directly to them. And he was talking about this actually on Twitter. You can go follow him and read it directly from the horse's mouth. Really cool. I might actually reinstall. Do I have Steam on my computer currently?
You're asking.
I do.
me?
Yeah, I do. So I'll just try to remember my password and maybe watch that shit on there when that comes out. By the sound of it, based on
I'm
his
glad
tweets,
that
it
the guy is
seems
at least still creating his own stuff. He's one
Yeah.
of the last people that's doing that.
it's like I'm curious to see what this is, how long the content is. Maybe I would assume like in the 10 to 15 minute range, because it's just supposed to. I mean, I'm not expecting IPs here. No, not a large budget, maybe like $1 million per thing, if that. Shot 100% digital, edited on the fly, and this is meant just for digital consumption. But I wouldn't be surprised, like, if he made something that was really a hit, that either Valve straight up like produced it and made it into a movie. Maybe even if he's using their IPs. Like, there's lots of ways this go about. I know he's a gamer. He clearly chose Steam for a reason. He is maybe probably just aware that a lot of Steam users are pretty much his demographic anyway. But I'm curious. It's an interesting way for another tech giant to get in the original content realm, because as of yet, they're strictly, they have Half-Life and Portal and Team Fortress and like Dota 2. They have certain games that aren't widespread anymore. Like, they're kind of, even though Portal is one of my favorite IPs and Half-Life is acclaimed, that franchise is like one of the biggest in gaming history. We're still waiting on Half-Life 3, but when they start releasing their own VR content on Steam VR, which they've said there's going to be 3 titles alone this year, and then if you throw in live action content in there too, like short films and whatnot, it could be a new destination. Like, I think the Lionsgate deal is just the beginning of others, because it could just become a brand new marketplace for all kinds of shit. It already is, bar none, the biggest video gaming platform on the planet. It's just it doesn't have access on consoles.
It will one day.
No, like, they've tried to come into the living room. They made something called a Steam Link, which is basically a way to like put your mirror your computing desktop on your TV, which was not a success. And then they made also Steam Machines, which were basically just computers that are meant to live in your living room, and those didn't work either. And then they made the Steam controller. Well, not even for VR gaming, just gaming period. They've had very little success leaving the dorm room and entering the living room, with the exception of like putting their games on the PS3 or on the Xbox 360, like the Left 4 Dead games on 360, and especially Portal 2 on PS3. Like, that game had one of the coolest features ever. If you bought the game on PS3, you got a free copy for your Steam client, and you could also play with people on PC with PS3, which is kind of commonplace now between Xbox and PC, and also PS4 and PC. But at that time, we're talking like 8 years ago or something like that. It was unheard of. It was really way ahead of the curve. It was a big reason for me to buy. I bought that shit day one. It's one of the only games I've ever bought day one as an adult, and I needed it. So I'm curious. But here's some more direct film news, the stuff that you're probably listening for. Christian Bale, Steve Carell, they might be reteaming with Adam McKay on his Dick Cheney biopic that he announced shortly after winning the Oscar 2 years ago.
Yay.
Or I guess a year ago now. Um, Amy Adams might be joining them too. It's a Plan B Sanchez project, which makes sense. They're looking for a
Brad
spring
Pitt's
shoot.
coming back.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like technically Plan B is his production company, but how big a role does he actually play in that? I would feel like he's a real busy guy. Like he doesn't sit in the board meetings. It's just kind of like his money. And the same kind of
it is his name that he's putting on there, so he still has to have a hand in it.
I mean, maybe he's playing a small role in this too. Like, I doubt it's going to be Big Short level, where it's like, oh no, you're a fairly major character. But clearly,
like 12
everyone
Years a Slave level, where he might be a major player, just not present the whole time.
I doubt it, because just the names that were floating around with this a couple of weeks ago, his didn't surface, and he's also busy at Netflix doing that. What the fuck's it called? I don't even remember. War Machine. He's got a couple other things too. I'm surprised he isn't attached to a tentpole right now. You would think that he would be. Like when was the
World
last
War
time?
Z, but that didn't pan out.
Well, no, that did pan out. Like that sequel could still happen.
Yeah, I mean, it might be too long now, honestly.
But I could see him being a superhero. He still has it. Like, if there's anyone out there that hasn't been tapped for a tights flick, it's him. I guess the closest we got to that was Megamind. Wasn't he the actual hero that like gets trumped by Will Ferrell's character in that?
Yeah, but then he just becomes like, he was the hero.
It's
and then
a
he just
joke.
goes into hiding or
Yeah, it doesn't. That movie's weird. I had a good time with that though.
It's good for kids.
It was one of the weirder DreamWorks films. But yeah, that's supposed to be shooting soon. They're looking to release it this award season, which makes sense. It's kind of like the perfect film right now. Like in the same way The Big Short was when that was released. It's like, how do you combat fears of a presidency gone rogue? How about make a biopic about our, not counting Joe Biden, our last vice president. Like the person whose name we're actually familiar with, not the guy with the $10 million smile that just looks good in photos. I think everyone should be excited about this movie, especially if it's just a continuation of Adam McKay making serious films that are still funny. Because it's like, it's hard to forget that this is the guy that made Anchorman. And like Step Brothers.
And Talladega Nights.
And Talladega Nights.
Yeah, especially Step Brothers. I mean, that's the one that gets me. Is like Step Brothers is just an insanely juvenile movie, literally about man-children. And that's from an Academy Award-winning director.
Boats and Hose
award-winning writer, to be specific, but still, that is insane.
I wish I could go back in time to when Boats and Hose was my ringtone. I mean, I could just make it my ringtone today, except I never have my phone on like actual audio. It just vibrates. Every time my phone would ring, I wouldn't answer it on purpose so I could sing along. There's a whole like row of rap songs only made for movies that I fell in love with in that time frame, like in addition to like Hustle and Flow. And Boats and Hose is still the pinnacle. Like that predates the Lonely Islands comedy, and it's better than anything they wrote. Karaoke, like one of these days I'll do Boats and Hose for karaoke. If it's on a songbook, I'll fucking do it.
It came out around that same time. Like that first video that came out, the Chronic Wuckles in Narnia, that was like 2005.
Well, that's I don't know. I'm talking about
the
like
beginning, I think, but
that's not my dick in a box level. Okay, that's not like people who aren't watching SNL are aware of it.
Where I'm on a boat.
Yeah, once again,
what
that.
Else was there, Dear Sister?
My dick in a box was the first one, though. I think that was the
it was
first
the
hit.
Chronic Wuckles and Narnia one. That was the first.
I
one.
have their first
SNL
album, and I don't even fucking know that song. Okay, if it's not my dick in a box,
SNL digital short. I don't know if it's like.
If it's not my dick in a box,
weird, man,
or I'm on a boat, or like
Dick in a Box was one of the
or came in my pants. Like if
2007, but
if it's not one of those songs,
pants.
It's just an also ran.
Like a Boss.
Yeah, like a boss, like To the Ground. Like there's a series of hits. And that whatever you're talking about, Chronicles, isn't even on their debut album.
Well, it was an SNL digital short. That was them. So I don't know. Like
I'm talking like We Like Sports or Natalie's Rap or Incredibad. Saxman is pretty good. Like Santana DVX is good too.
Natalie's Rap was before Dick in a Box.
Or even that one,
pretty sure.
Yeah. It's not a hit song. It's not Boats and Hose. It's not Prestige Worldwide caliber.
Well, it just had
Prestige.
Sex. It's a personal favorite.
Prestige Worldwide. Doom, 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 doom. Other reteamings,
Oh,
though.
gotcha.
Michael Keaton might be teaming up with his Beetlejuice Batman director on Disney's Dumbo live reaction. I think this thing is basically, like, without a paddle now. They were first going after Will Smith. That didn't pan out. Then they were going after someone else. I think Danny DeVito for the ringleader. I heard nothing about that. Now it's Michael Keaton. Like, I would love this. I obviously love Michael Keaton. He's in the other guys. That's an Adam McKay film.
Fitting casting for a movie I have no interest in, but yeah, sure. Why not?
This one makes a lot more sense than Lion King, mind you, because it's a mostly human cast with an elephant and like a fucking, what is it, a squirrel or whatever, and like there's like one or two other animals in the circus. And so you can do that. Here's what the humans are doing, here's what the animals are doing, here's the humans with the animals, like how they look almost as good as the humans do. That works. But Dumbo, is there even really a fucking story there? I lost my family, but I got really big ears, and everyone makes fun of my ears. But hey, now I can fly. Like,
no, Dumbo's an awesome movie. It's just the key thing is that
it's Tim Burton's
Dumbo doesn't really talk. It's just the people around him tried to steer him in the right direction, or really just the mouse that's by him. I don't know how that would translate to live action. They'd have to take creative liberties, or they would just drag it to insane lengths. Because what's crazy about Dumbo is also that movie is 64 minutes long.
Isn't Bambi also like 70 minutes?
Bambi's around 70 to 80. I think Bambi's maybe more like 75, but Dumbo is the shortest feature-length Disney movie. Like, it is an hour long.
That's one of those
How
movies...
do you maximize that? 5 of those minutes are for a drunk hallucinatory sequence.
Well, maybe that's why Tim Burton wants to do it. Dumbo's one of those films that I've been on the ride at Disneyland. Mm-hmm. I'm familiar with the character through, like playing Kingdom Hearts and just the name brand recognition, but I don't know if I've ever seen that more than once. Like, I grew up with a lot of Disney films, but like I really remember certain of them. But then, like, Dumbo falls in the same category as Aristocats for me, where it's like, okay, I know I've seen it, but I haven't actually. It's like
Aristocats
not in my head.
Also one of the most boring. Like, just
fuck you,
generic,
it's about
just
cats,
forgettable
man.
Disney
It's about
films.
cats.
It's got
it's
got cats in there, but I don't remember shit about that movie.
No.
It really it's very blah.
Something that dawned on me the other night, and I don't know why I haven't blamed it before, but 101 and 102 Dalmatians, the live action versions, are the real reason why Disney is going ahead and keep doing this. I'm surprised it took them that long to realize that those Glenn Close movies were a success. Like, put it this way, by the time Cruella de Vil, or whatever that film's called, with Emma Stone lands, if that's even still on their timeline, that's going to be the second live-action adaptation of 101 Dalmatians. Mm-hmm. That's insane to think about. That's not an interesting film. We fuck too much. We have too many puppies. One went missing. Let's find it. Like...
That's actually not how it went. Well, what it is...
that's what it ends up being.
The way that story works is that they have 13, and then they all get, like, kidnapped, and then they find, like, there's 101 altogether in this one place, and they all bring them back home. That's what happens.
DeVille is trying to skin them and make their coats. Yeah.
So, like, she had a shitload, and she just needed 13 more, and that was
so it. They end up with 100 at the home at the end, right?
Yeah, because they escape with them, and it's 100, well, including... the two parents, it's 99 puppies, and then 101.
And then the sequel, they had one more puppy, which doesn't make sense because dogs, when they fuck, don't have one kid.
I don't even know if the sequel had the same characters in it.
I don't remember at all.
I don't know. I know I saw it once, but
I know I haven't.
I don't know. That was like years later. Like,
I know I have both the animated and live action versions, I believe, of 101.
I remember seeing that movie. Like, it's funny. Of all the movies that I saw, like in Switzerland, the one that I saw in a theater in English was 101 Dalmatians, because you can do that. They do present Hollywood films in their original track with subtitles, but I do remember that being a thing, and that movie was an event when that came out. I remember that. The sequel, I don't know. That was, 5 years or something later? I never gave a shit about it.
I don't even know. But that's the one to blame. Fuck that movie first and primarily.
Yeah, I liked it as a kid. I don't know how I'd feel about it.
Yeah, we all liked it as a kid, and that's why they keep on making these fucking movies. That's the problem. Like, we don't need another Dumbo, especially a live-action one. But Michael Keaton's in it. Tim Burton directs it.
Action remakes of any of the animated classics. We don't.
I'm just saying.
We really don't.
With Michael Keaton, I'll 100% watch it because I might be excited about Spider-Man: Homecoming because hey, Spider-Man's cool, and I'm rooting for Sony, and I'm curious what that's going to be like. And it looks like a good movie. And hey, it's the John Hughes film that they've been promising for a long time. But also, I really want to see Michael Keaton in a big meaty role again because if I saw The Founder, I'll see anything. Essentially,
because he's Batman.
Because he's fucking Batman.
The original Batman.
Not the original Batman. That's
he's
still
your Batman.
No. I was like, Ben Affleck's my Batman, though. Even if I don't have a Ben Affleck action figure, but I do have a Michael Keaton one in front of me.
I like Ben Affleck as Batman, but that Tim Burton '89 movie, man, that's always going to be my go-to.
It's like it's not that it wasn't bad or good. I don't know. It's hard to even critique it. But Kevin Smith, he directed an episode of The Goldbergs a week ago, and it's entirely surrounded on first off, The Goldbergs is this real kitschy, weird sitcom on ABC about growing up in a family in the suburbs in the 80s. And so it's an episode about the main kid going to see Tim Burton's Batman with his grandpa. And then they have like a whole duel over who's the better Batman, Adam West or Tim Burton or Michael Keaton. And I love the concept. I love like what the son and the grandpa are doing together, especially like the filmmaking angle of the show. But this is like the third or fourth episode I've seen, and I fucking hate the show 100%. I hate the tone. Like, maybe it's what the 80s was really like, and since I wasn't there, I don't like it. But it just doesn't ring true to me. Like, I think it's also just because it's like an ABC sitcom, and I'm not a fan of that kind of shit necessarily. Like, it's still Disney, It's like this is all for the whole family type of thing, like Agents of Shield style, but not superheroes, like family drama. And I just couldn't do it. But I was like, holy shit! I watched this because Kevin Smith directed it. He got to direct another thing that Batman's in a certain way, like in conjunction with buying Mallrats this week. I'm like, good on you, man. Good on you. But yeah, I can't.
Just keep him busy, man.
Like I recommend you check it out just out of curiosity. You can watch it on Hulu or whatever, or like ABC.com. I think you can. But not my speed. There's something about the Goldbergs. I've seen the Karate Kid episode. I saw the pilot. I saw like one or two other ones too. I think it's the voice of the main kid. And it's one of those shows where the showrunner created the show about his own life and he narrates it type of thing. It's like, I can't.
I don't know.
I can't do it. Way bigger actual superhero news, and this is a tandem. The first of which is Josh Brolin. He is Cable in Deadpool 2, and then 3 other films, whatever they're going to be, X-Force, Deadpool 3, fucking X-Men 90s.
How is that going to work?
Who the fuck cares? Like, now, if Green Lantern could be Deadpool and also be in Blade Trinity, then Thanos can be
Johnny
Cable.
Storm can also be Captain America, I get that, but...
Then, yeah, Thanos can be Cable. For one thing, it's the MCU and the X-Men universe. And then you also know, because it's Deadpool, that they're going to make some fucking jokes about it. Like, I thought you were a bad guy. No, that's just in the other movies. Okay, just checking. Like, it writes itself. It was the casting that makes the most sense in what Deadpool is. But we'll find out when it gets there. Like, literally...
See, I
Deadpool
about
2
making too many in jokes at this point because it's like there's no surprises then. The audience is going to be in on the joke before it's even made.
Deadpool 2 is going to hit theaters before Thanos hits the big screen in the actual way he's supposed to for the last decade. Put it that way. That's a fact. Deadpool 2, I think, is next February. And then Infinity War is in
soon too, right?
Yeah, it's probably already doing like minimal shooting. Well, they had the teaser in front of Logan, so they clearly have shot shit, But Infinity War is not coming until a little bit after this point next year. And we still, outside of Guardians of the Galaxy and like 5 seconds at the end of the first Avengers, Thanos is persona non grata. Like, he's had like almost no voice lines, nothing to chew on. Like, he doesn't matter.
He just sat in a chair and grabbed a glove.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's fucking it. And like flew around for a second. But yeah, like, I don't even know if those Thanos jokes would work properly unless he plays a big role in Guardians 2 or Ragnarok, which he probably will, since we're getting that much closer to the end of Phase 3. But we'll find out. The real superhero news, though, this is the big one, is Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg related. they found a new writing directing gig. They're going to tackle Robert Kirkman's Invincible for Universal. So hey, they got something else besides Jurassic World and Fast and Furious. Hopefully, this is about a high school kid whose father is Earth's mightiest like superhero, most powerful superhero. I doubt this is going to trump Sky High.
At least not for you.
Definitely not for me. But I am curious. I might not like Robert Kirkman's Walking Dead. It might be way too serious for me. But if these guys are doing this thing, they've already technically done one superhero movie with the Green Hornet. They're doing Preacher, so they've played around with the genre. They actually read comics, so I doubt it's going to be bad. But Universal's track record with these kind of films isn't so great. Looking at Incredible Hulk,
yeah, but they got good relations with Universal. You know, I mean, they've been making comedies with them.
well,
So
Preacher is on AMC, so
yeah, well, there should be trust there too.
Yeah.
So
but I don't know. I'm not excited about this. I think mostly because I've maybe read one issue of this comic. I'm familiar with the setup before I read the news article, but at the same time, I just we've kind of talked about this before, where you take like these little people that made this small film with name brand recognition, and they go on and make like this something that's fucking huge. And I would rather see a small personal thing again over this, but that I don't actually know. I mean, I watched the entire first season of Preacher, and I'm curious about this next one just because they finally build up everything that was supposed to be there. And I just hope that this doesn't suffer from Universal trying too hard to build a franchise, and instead it's actually a standalone film. That way, if it does fail, that it will be alone. It's not trying too hard to build another universe, which they probably would do, to be honest. Like, oh, it's going to be part of the Invincible Universal superhero films. All the shit that Robert Kirkman's doing is at Universal now.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 102 issues. It's still ongoing. It's the second longest comic after The Walking Dead. So there's a lot of content there. They're probably going to adapt like the first 8 issues because that's standard fare for a superhero movie like this. So maybe I'll read them before then, but it seriously sounds just like Sky High to me. I'm in with the exception of there is no high school for only kids of superheroes. Like that's gone. This is like a more serious like Kick-Ass kind of thing. But then again, like it also kind of sounds like Kick-Ass, and I don't know. Anyway, another person that shouldn't be doing what he's doing already, Fede Alvarez. I don't know why the fuck he's like the biggest fucking kid in Hollywood now. It's really weird. He made one movie that I've seen. I've heard Don't Breathe is really good. I know you had your issues with it, even if he made a ton of money.
I at least respect that it got made. I mean, like something that original, and there's so much of it that's so fucking good. That's like, why is he not doing more original stuff, man?
Well, you're going to really love this then. So, yeah, you made Don't Breathe. Sony must really love him because a week or two ago they announced, hey, we're doing finally another Dragon Tattoo movie. It's going to be the girl who kicked the spider's nest. He's directing it. Yeah, he's doing another one with them called Spider's Web that I know nothing about. So he's going to go right into that after doing Spider's Nest. That's going to be weird. Spider's Web right after Spider's Nest. And then if that wasn't enough,
Nest, you mean?
TriStar is making another Labyrinth movie, and he's going to be directing it. The cool thing, at least, is Jim Henson's going to be co-producing, which I guess means Sony's bonding with Sony. I mean, Sony's bonding with Disney.
You mean the company, right?
Yeah, the Jim Henson company.
Okay.
But
yeah, I was thinking for a second, like, wait, what?
No, even
what
still,
decade
like,
am I in right
that's
now? Yeah.
Disney owns them, so this is another step of Disney working with Sony, which I guess is kind of cool. This is being claimed that it's not a remake, not a sequel, or like a mere mass companion. This is just something set within the world that Jim Henson created in that film. So I'm not expecting Jennifer Connelly, obviously not expecting David Bowie or the Goblin King. But I just don't see
the Return to Oz version of this.
Yeah, like I just don't see this being I don't know why this is a thing at all. Like this is 100%. That's like the legacy cool thing. This is Terminator Genesis or The Force Awakens. This
if he's
is
signed on, then he has to have his own vision for something that's unique that could be good, and then people could get behind it when they see enough pieces of marketing for it. You know,
how do you even have a vision for something when you're already working on 2 movies?
Steven Spielberg, he puts out 2 of them a year.
That's different. He has like a whole team of people.
Man.
No, it's not impossible. But Spielberg has a whole team. He has a whole production company. He has 2 production companies. Okay. Like he's busy because he doesn't stay sitting, but it's not all him. You know, he's at a point in his career now where he'll just take the script and he'll film it. He's in that kind of mode. Whereas Fede Alvarez is writing these things with a screenwriting partner, like everything he's ever done, and so.
There was this one thing I think for Q&A I heard him say something like he would have a challenge with his friend where they would have to talk every day and have like one idea a day or one idea a week or something and write it down.
You shouldn't film every one of those ideas,
it's a
though.
cool fucking way to stay creative that way because, I mean, you do, I mean, that's something that like I kind of tried to see if I could do that for a while and it's like I could probably do one idea a week if I focus hard on it, but like I've got a notebook full of stuff too. But...
I got mine last night. I wrote that shit down.
What for an idea?
Yeah, remember my book club idea? I wrote that down. I don't want to say anything else. Someone's gonna listen. They're gonna hear it.
No, but hey, I mean, it's a good habit to get into. Is like when you're creative and you're writing, like you're always gonna have more ideas that come to you, which just naturally happens the more that you write. And instead of getting in the fucking trap that I got into, which is you try to juggle different projects, it's just write down what the fucking idea is and then store it, and then when you need something to write, just go back to that and then see what clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had, like, 3 different things come up in the past month, man. I fucking finally had an idea for a romance, too, which, I don't know, it's funny because that's so out of my league, but I don't know, maybe one day when I'm compelled to write one, I have a template to go off on. And it has time travel, too, so.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I almost got the lake house at the Goodwill. But it was full screen, so I didn't even want to look at the disc, and then it was scratched up, and I was like, no, I'll wait. I'll wait on this one. Love it.
Anyway,
I need to
sorry
see
about that. But yeah, I mean, dude, the guy's working hard, and props to him.
like,
even if I don't like his movies, I still respect that.
I need to see the original French version of The Lake House. I really do.
That should be that's a cinema.
It really
should. I would
should.
totally love to see that because I have no idea what it is.
The Lake House is so good.
I've not seen that.
Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock reteaming after
man.
Speed in a time travel romance. So good.
It almost was a date movie in high school, but that didn't happen.
Kind of bummed, man. It's like every once in a while, maybe that movie actually didn't have the disc in it because when I'm looking through the bin, sometimes, like I said, people take the movies out, and I think that it was either that or a scratch. Like I said, that's why I didn't grab it. Would love to have that in my collection, though. Anyway, we're talking about Sony a second ago. They're stepping up their game. They're part of the TV cutting generation. There's Dish Sling, there's DirecTV Now, YouTube TV, which I teased a minute ago at the top of the show, and we're going to be talking about after the break. And then Sony has their PlayStation Vue. They have a lot of channels, and something that they're just added is an esports dedicated 24-hour network called ESL. I don't really give a shit about their content. I don't watch esports. I watch Twitch or YouTube. I'm much more interested in individuals, not the tournaments, because playing video games isn't a sport to me. But even still, I can't believe that they didn't launch with this, given that their whole idea is TV cutting geared towards a video game consumer. You're literally watching TV on your video game system. I mean, you can watch it on your phone and your computer, your TV connected, internet connected TV and other shit too. But their primary service is on PS4 and PS3. And so why this took this long is kind of dumbfounding in the same way like how I was talking about Twitch's original programming the week ago and how like that didn't make sense to me that it took them that long. I was like, oh wait, they have all this content too. They have a talk show, they have this, they have the cooking show, they have this, they like creative, they have their marathons. I hope Sony can keep this kind of thing up. I'm still waiting for either on YouTube TV or YouTube Red or Sony PlayStation's Vue or something like that where it's an almost CNN take on video game streaming where it's like, now we're going to cut to, like, I hope that's the next step for this kind of thing. But then, that would take a lot of footwork to even get that. Like, someone would have to be working 24 hours for that. But you could outsource that. I don't know. That when you're that idea man, you don't think through the idea. You just come up with it. It's hard. Pay me, Sony. You wouldn't have to pay me. Just give me free shit. That's good enough.
Stuff to review would be nice.
That'd be nice. I mean, for games, that'd be nice. I mean, they already kind of almost do, but I want free, not $10. $10 is good. Not cheap enough for it sometimes. I could have got 100 movies for $10. Anyway, Here's the final bit of the teasers, the super long teasers, the amount of teasers that are never going to be this long. And this is more streaming than teasing anyway. But moving from Sony to Amazon, we were talking about their movies earlier and their original content instant video. This is right in the same realm. Amazon just snatched Twitter's Thursday Night Football deal from the NFL. They're going to be streaming 10 games next season. It's estimated to be worth $50 million. That sounds like a lot of money, and it is. And they're just going to be adding to that because now Amazon allows you to pay for their products with cash, which is fucking crazy. It's already
How does that work?
It's already live at like CVS and other places. Not 7-Eleven yet, but that's a natural fit since they already have Amazon lockers at that chain. But this is the way it works. You have your phone on your Amazon app. You can pull up a barcode. It's called Amazon Cash. The teller scans the barcode, then you take the cash out of your pocket, and you pay them, and then you have that amount put on your account. In the same way that you can buy an Amazon gift card and load it, but that is stuck in like, $10, $20, $50, $100 increments, and it's a piece of plastic, then you can use as it's a gift card. This is literally just loading your account with actual cash, which is the smartest thing they've ever done, because a lot of people in the world, given that there's Amazon lockers, don't use Amazon because they do cash transactions only. Like, people take for granted how many people don't use plastic at all. And so this is going to add so much money that $50 million for the NFL rights is going to be like a flash in the pan. That's going to be nothing when this eventually goes like everywhere. When you can go to Walmart and 7-Eleven and fucking like the movie theater to put money on your Amazon account. Not to mention eventually when those Amazon bookstores and self-service centers and everything are nationwide, and you can literally use cash there to do the transaction instead of it being put on your Amazon account, or like they'll work it out some way. I'm not sure exactly.
It's a good way to keep paper money alive.
I don't think they want to keep paper money alive. It's more so that until it goes
for now, though,
until it goes 100% digital, this is their way of finally, way too long to, if you ask me, of getting those people to use their service, because it's still taken for granted that everyone has a cell phone, which isn't true. I mean, Amazon once upon a time tried to make everyone have a cell phone. No one ever talks about the Fire Phone anymore for good reason. Even though I was curious about it, I never used one. I wanted to use one. I'm sure there are people out there that still have one and use it, which would be interesting. I'd love to run into those.
How long ago did that come out?
It was like 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
3.5, 4 years ago. And then it died like 3 months after that. It died quick. Like it was like, hey, look, we can make a Fire tablet, and we can do a Fire TV and a Fire stick, and how about a Fire phone? And that just didn't work. So with all this money, it's going even crazier. Jeff Bezos has so much money that he unveiled a week and a half ago how he's going to fund Blue Origin. Essentially, he's going to sell $1 billion of Amazon stock every year, take that money and put it directly into his space exploration goals. Amazon is worth so much that he can easily divest $1 billion of his stock annually to go to the moon and Mars. I have a feeling like this is going to be forever until he's no longer alive. Like, he's the second richest person on the planet behind Bill Gates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
It's insane.
It's insane.
I have no comment other than that.
Every time you buy something from Amazon, you're helping him take us to the fucking stars. That's insane to think about.
It's kind of awesome.
It's
but
kind of
at the
awesome.
same time, it's like, do I want this guy to be the guy?
Well, it's not necessarily he's the guy. It's just they're competing with SpaceX to make the reusable space shuttle. Like, neither of them have perfected
Amazon
yet.
would become the by and large at this point.
They already are by and
It's
large.
scary.
It's like by and large in that film, because of the time it came out, was more Walmart than anything, or Costco.
Yeah.
But now, no, it's fucking Amazon. For sure. Like, that's a Blue Origin space shuttle that all the fat people are on. All the marshmallow people.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching Amazon Live TV in their Amazon shirts. Like, it's not a dash button, it's a dash chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our segment to start the show. We're at the halfway point. This is the ad break. This is where we talk about all the lovely things that we can sell for you. It would be a lot earlier if you actually gave us money instead of us working hard for it. And there's all kinds of things. I was talking about earlier, what did I say I was going to do? Oh, yeah, just a perfect segue. Let me buy something on Amazon right now. My Vicks nasal inhaler is going really low. I think I can get a 6-pack for something like $6, which is super cheap because they sell for like 2 or 3 a single. So let me check right now. The only thing that sucks about Amazon is if you guys aren't aware, if you're listening, which is insane because everyone should use Amazon, even if you don't have a Prime membership, prices fluctuate unlike the retail world. And so you can go 1 minute and it's $30, and the next minute it's $50, and then it's down to $15, and then you bought it at $30 and you thought you got a good deal, but you got ripped off. Amazon, recently items you viewed, Viodome and the Army Now, Son-in-Law, they know I love Ollie Shore. They're just aware. It's only a little creepy.
No, but yeah, hey, if the price goes down on those, you know what you can do? You can contact Amazon and let them know about it if it's within 30 days, and they will give you money back.
I've never done that.
For that. I have.
I've gotten burns like twice. Before I owned every LEGO Dimensions figure, I bought one of their bundles at 34, and then like the day before I got it, it was down to 39, or maybe it was 29, and yeah, it was 29 and 34. And I was like, fuck, that was $4, but I went, hey, fuck it, it's $4. I didn't feel like, because I knew that they wouldn't give me money back, they would give me Amazon credit. And that would just incentivize me to spend money with them again anyway. But anyway, I'm going to spend that money right now. So yeah, it's a 6-pack for $6.23. That's nothing. Like I said, that's basically $1 a unit. I've had this one since I went to Australia in 2013. So it lasts a long time the way that I use it. So this should potentially last me until the end of my life. Let me add that to my shopping cart right now. It's already in my cart. What the hell's else in my cart? No, I don't need the Lego Hermione set. Let me delete that. I already bought that. Save for later.
How many Lego sets do you have, by the way?
I don't know the count, but I have all of them. So if you go on there, if you Google how many Lego Dimension packs are there, whatever that number is, that's how many I own.
You got everything?
I got everything. As of now, they're releasing more mid-May. The 3 that they're adding are Sloth from the Goonies. That's a level pack. They're adding Hermione, which is a fun pack. And then Chase, what's his name, from Lego City Undercover. And then in the nearer future, or the further future, rather, there's going to be Powerpuff Girls, Teen Titans Go, and Beetlejuice. So I'll own Michael Keaton in Lego Dimensions because the Batmen I have are Will Arnett and the guy that does the Lego voices, not Will Arnett. So I already have 2.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt Michael Keaton's going to be voicing Beetlejuice, but hey, I'll have 2 different Lego figures that are essentially Michael Keaton, which I'll be very happy about. So you can see me do the Amazon purchase right now. Proceed to checkout. It's $6.23. Let's see what the tax is on this. Don't you remember when Amazon didn't charge tax?
Yeah, well,
you're in Texas, so they don't charge tax anyway, huh?
No, I think they do because they do have warehouses here. That's the reason why, right? Is that if they don't have a warehouse in the state, that you don't get charged tax. But sometimes, depending on the seller, they don't charge tax.
Here's the catch. This is why this shit is so cheap. It's not prime shipping. It's not even close. It's saying that the estimated delivery is May 11th through June 1st. That's
really long.
Yeah, that's like shipping from China time.
Is that coming from Australia?
Yeah, right? Like, where's Daily Needs Store located?
I mean, like, I've ordered from Amazon UK or Amazon FR before, but, that stuff usually takes 3 weeks.
Hey, let me check. This is a 3-pack for $4, so it's slightly more. And this one is estimated early May to late May, so, I mean, that's almost as bad.
That's probably the longest estimate, though, right? Because I've never ordered anything internationally where they go close to that. They usually come sooner.
Okay, I'm going to add both of them to my cart.
Not great. It's not confident.
I'm going to add both of them to my cart and see what the estimated dates are again. Yeah, ship to this address. I'm happy I didn't do one click. That would suck. So, yeah, this one says May 11th to June 1st for the 5-pack. And then May 9th to May 31st for the 3-pack. You know what? I'll do the 3-pack even though it costs more money just so I can get it fast. No. Oh, no. Audience, what should I do? Oh, they can't talk to us because we're a podcast. What should I do, Steve? Should I save money?
I think you should hold off on it and think on it later, yeah.
Should I save money and it takes longer? Or
It's
should I
pretty.
spend only marginally more money and it gets a little bit sooner? It's
I mean, it's pretty late to make this decision, or at least it's later for me than it is for you. But for me personally, I would wait.
time is in the essence. It's Amazon Prime. I'm primed to go.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll do
yeah,
the
you got
math. We'll
plenty
do
of
the
time to
math
think
for
about
the
it too, though.
listeners. 623 divided by 5. What is that? I'm not good with
Do you really
decimals.
feel like you need it?
It's a dollar, 1.25 for the 5 pack, or 1 and 33 cents for the 3 pack that comes faster. I'm saying fuck the 5 cents per unit. I'll do the.
Just do 2 3 packs.
I don't even need two. I just want the 1 3 pack. So I'll just do
We'll
the
just
one
do
three
that.
pack, and I'll wait for it to come. Guys, delete that one. Proceed to checkout for $4. Oh, my nipples are getting hard. It's almost in the mail now. No shipping and handling. No tax. Hell yeah. That's rare. We are just talking about that. Continue shopping. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Wait,
That's all good.
did it ship? I don't even know. I must be too tired for this.
And the order has to be confirmed, man, before it ships.
I know. It didn't do that step. Oh, it could be an add-on. Nope. It processed that fast. Oops. Whatever. Good thing I
All
wanted
right.
it. Hey, it's
There
coming
we
before
go.
the end of next month.
Yay.
Yay! Now it's gonna be a mystery. I'm gonna try not to do the thing where I compulsively, like OCD on the shipping information for when it's gonna come. I'm gonna try to let this just be a surprise, and it's gonna be awesome because it's from
Yeah,
Amazon,
it's a good habit to get into. Find other things to focus on.
right? Instead of a 15-digit number or whatever that tells you that it's left a shipping facility across the country. I don't have the time for that. I only have the time for the podcast. So it would be a much better sales pitch, but hey, I just sold you on Vicks nasal inhalers I used before the show. They clear up that mucus, especially when you got a runny nose. And there's some meth in there, so it really wakes you up. Plus, also Amazon, even though this isn't a prime situation. But hey, Jeff Bezos, we're going to the moon. I just helped you just a little bit. Just a little bit. So we have lots of other content. You're listening to our news show. We also do dollar reviews, which is our spoiler-free no recaps of recent releases. We've modified that. It includes new releases in the theater, also streaming, and just anything that's from like the last 2 or 3 years that we haven't seen. Some of our more recent things, we have Sandy Wexler out. Also, we've done every Adam Sandler theatrical / streaming release since Pixels. So we have Pixels, The Do-Over, Ridiculous 6. I'm sure we're going to be doing the Mayor Witz Chronicles whenever that lands on Netflix, probably in like 2 months or whatever. We did Power Rangers the week before that. Camera Person, which is the Amazon Prime selection, also part of the Criterion collection. So it's on Filmstruck if you have that. Elle by Paul Verhoeven, La La Land, Green Room, Swiss Army Man, Logan, lots of superhero stuff. Batman vs Superman 3 separate times. Suicide Squad, Doctor Strange. We're gonna be doing. No, not doing Guardians because you're busy, but I'm going to be seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Might be doing it the second week. We'll see.
Yeah.
If you want to catch up on that, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But pretty much, if it's a big movie, with the exception of certain ones, we like going seeing it. And then we might be doing Colossal this week. Definitely doing The Handmaiden. So if it's streaming on Amazon and Netflix, we're going to watch it for you, give you our opinion without ruining anything or even telling you the plot at all. The most we do is play a little bit of the trailer just so you can hear what's going on. But hey, that's not ruining because you probably would have saw that anyway. The other show that we do, which is more popular and much more acclaimed, as I said at the top of the show, you can Google Death Cinema and actually find it. It's our semi-topical List of Shame show. So our next episode is going to be on Biodome, which Steve thought was for 420, but was actually Earth Day.
Well, you told me it was for 420, straight up.
Well,
so.
it was a bait and switch.
I mean, hey, it's like, okay, fine, I was 420, and then it turned out to not be, and I was like, all right.
It's both. It's both.
Yeah.
We did Jesus Christ Superstar
I
because
got the
recording.
pick after that, too, if you want that.
We're what is it?
The conversation.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did Jesus Christ Superstar. That came out this week because we're recording on Easter, and happy whatever the fuck the day after Easter is, I guess. We also did Passion of the Christ last year. We got some other musicals too. West Side Story, as I said, La La Land. We did
Dancer in the Dark, that counts.
Dancer in the Dark, all that jazz. Sing Street, already said that one. Is that it? I feel like that's it.
Well, we didn't really review Sing Street though. Like we both talked about it separately.
You did one, I did one. I mean, I did it,
Yeah.
and then you saw it. But when you saw it, we kind of like did a review.
Somewhat, yeah, I guess, because it was fresh enough in your mind at that point.
It's like, have we done any other
Um,
musicals?
I feel like we're missing one,
I feel like we're
and
missing one too.
yeah, I feel like I'm gonna hit myself in the head
I feel like it
when I
was
find out what
a
it is.
dollar reviews. Well, Magic Mike is almost a musical. Um,
I feel like it might be a Death Cinema one. I really don't know though.
I don't know. It'll come to us, or it
Shit.
doesn't, or I'm not sure if it matters. We
Yeah.
did a string of remakes. It was a fun little adventure. We did. It started with a guy named Joe, which is the inspiration for Steven Spielberg's Always. Followed that with Father of the Bride, the original, not the Steve Martin version. We did the Cronenberg remake of The Fly, and then the original version of The Fly. So you can listen to those. Some other stuff, Wings, because it was the Oscars for Best Picture winner. All the President's Men, because that's timely for a new president, and especially this presidency. Time Crimes, which is really relevant because, as I said, we want to see Colossal, and that's the first film by Nacho Vigalondo. Really great movie, really good review. That was for Groundhog's Day special. The year before that, we did Run Lola Run. Who knows what's going to be next year? Kind of running out of time loop / time travel movies. Anyway, that's some of the stuff
Well,
that
we'll
we
always
do.
find something.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of running out. Like off the top of my head right now, I don't.
We have not even hit 100 yet, man. I mean,
I'm
I
talking
think
about in terms
Easter.
of Groundhog Day special. Like, I don't.
Who
I don't
knows?
know.
We might find some.
Or maybe something
Don't discount it yet.
something new comes out, and we're like, fuck that. That's a debt. It counts. We'll see. That's like 8 months from now or something. So yeah, here's the VR news. My favorite section of the show. The thing that I follow the most, even if I don't use my headset as much as I probably should. It begins with Facebook. Obviously, they own Oculus, among other things, Instagram, WhatsApp, your soul. And they are set to show off VR in a big way at their F8 conference next week. They obviously were at Oculus Connect 3 a couple of months ago, and they were like, hey, we got our own dedicated Facebook-branded VR headset, which is kind of like Gear VR but doesn't require a cell phone. And so then they would have Gear VR because that's an Oculus partnership. They would have this dedicated headset, and then they would have Oculus, which is their big bad one that's connected to your supercomputer. And so this is coming next week. We're going to have a lot more news. It's probably at the top of the show, especially if it's consumer ready, which is what the rumor is going to be, or rumor is rather. And it has Inside Out. It has all the bells and whistles. Doesn't need anything else. Just put it on your face and you're good to go. But reason to believe, and this is why it's a headline in this section, that Facebook is taking over Oculus after Palmer Luckey getting kicked out the company, is if you have a Samsung Gear VR now and you're signing in for the first time, it no longer uses the Oculus Home store as a login. It straight up says sign in with Facebook, and it says Oculus, and under that there's a subtitle that says from Facebook. And across the Gear VR line, you can do that instead of the way it was initially. Additionally, if you're actually on Oculus, you're using your Rift on your computer, that same setup is at play. So it is no longer a separated unit, like a company. It's not, oh yeah, it's Facebook and they own Oculus. It's more so like Oculus is Facebook. It's not that separated nature, kind of like Instagram, where a lot of people aren't even aware still somehow that they are owned by Facebook, that Mark Zuckerberg owns their soul. And I really don't like this idea. I mean, it's already kind of been prevalent, especially on Facebook. I don't have many friends that share 360 videos and photos, but when they do, I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. I can watch this on my phone or on my computer, and it's kind of like I'm getting VR content. But they're saying, I think it's already available, that in Gear VR Oculus Rift, that you can watch that stuff in a native like Facebook browser, that you can do just what's available in VR through its own dedicated VR Facebook app. So that's cool for the content or whatever, but I don't like this idea. Like
Why not?
I think the main reason is at the time of its purchase, a lot of people, myself included, were skeptical about Facebook with having no exposure in the VR world, just outright buying the pioneering company for a large sum of money, that they were going to engulf the name and the brand and everything about it and just use it to, get into the industry. And these little things, the from Facebook branding, signing in with your Facebook account, like Oculus already
That's what
had.
they do.
But you see, the way it was before the last week, where if you were on Oculus Home and you're looking for more friends to play games with, that you could leverage your Facebook friends and add them that way, is fine. You can do that on Xbox, you can do that on PlayStation, you can do that in apps on your phone. It makes sense, you know. Someone probably has Facebook out there that you're friends with that, yeah, you might want to play games with them. Like, that's how Words with Friends works, you know? Like, most mobile apps are that way. Except now, they're like, if they are fully just removing the separation, for instance, if this headset that they show off next week is just called the Facebook VR headset, then I really wouldn't like that. That's essentially,
I mean, it's not a good name either.
sure, but that's essentially why corporate like domineering is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Palmer Luckey might be like up shit creek. He might have just left or been kicked out of his company, whatever way you see it. He might have political problems, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he helped pioneer VR in what it is today. He started basically from scratch in a garage, even if John Carmack helped him out in a big, bad way, and, you know, they got sued because of that and whatever. But he was a self-made man, not even a man, a young man, and he had that basically taken away from him by a different self-made man who also didn't get there all on his own and kind of robbed his way into fame and fortune. And for him to do that again to someone else that was I would assume looking up to him, that's the reason why he agreed to the buyout in the first place, to just engulf that name brand and all the technology behind it to the point where right now VR isn't mainstream, that not most people aren't aware of it, or maybe they've heard the name but they haven't tried it out, or they've tried it out but they don't quite grasp what they were doing, where in a couple of months the Oculus brand could completely be gone and it literally could be called Facebook VR. And I just don't like that. I've never liked conglomeration in that kind of way. In the same way that, you know, in 5 years it could not be called HBO and just called AT&T VOD.
Or I don't know. At least they would keep the name, because I mean,
Maybe.
you know, the name is better than fucking Facebook VR. Maybe they would call it Oculus, but there would still be Facebook in very tiny print.
It's not tiny print.
Or
You
just
can
a very
see
minimized
you can
scale.
see screenshots of the sign-in screen from Gear VR currently, where it's a lot bigger than tiny. Like it's a third the size of the Oculus text, where it says from Facebook, not like a Facebook company or like from the minds behind Facebook or like from Mark Zuckerberg and co. Just from Facebook. It's like, well, is that even true though? It would be more like Facebook from Oculus, but that doesn't really matter. Something big that actually happened this week, or not this week, but since our last episode. Viveport, the subscription service that's available on HTC Vive, actually has a price point. It's available now. It's $5.99 a month, which is a great price point. It allows you to use 5 apps or games from a pool of over 50. The way it works, every month you can pick which ones you want to use. So this one, that one, this one, that one. And there's a ton available. Like I said, 50 currently, which is a lot. That's like that's like 3 times the amount of games I have on my PSVR. About 10 times the amount of.
Use more than just 5.
Well, you can't. That's the catch. Like I said, it's a subscription model. The idea here isn't for you to be a cheap fuck. It's for you to be able to try various things at your whenever you want,
Leisure.
at your leisure, and not be forced into paying $30 for something that you ended up not liking, which I have been victim of on PlayStation VR. Maybe not 30, but definitely 10 and a lot of 15s. Where you buy something because you thought it looked good, and then you try it out, and you're like, oh, I really don't like this. I'll probably never use this again. So the idea here is, because like almost everyone on the Vive marketplace or like Steam VR has applied to do this, for the $6 a month, you get access to those 5 things. If you really love it, you know that it's worth your $30. You buy it, and then you add something else to your library. But this way you can have an ever-changing flow. Maybe someone you know recommends it to, someone on the internet. Maybe it's something new that you're unsure of, and you can just try it out. It's going to rotate every 4 weeks or so. More going to be added over time, kind of just like Netflix. And they celebrated this on the same. This went live on the 1 year anniversary of the HTC Vive, and they did a 1 day only $100 price drop, which I'm sure helped sales a lot on that 1 day. It also gave you like I think a $30 gift card for the marketplace and a couple of free games. So they really pushed it. Who knows if and when they're actually going to report their numbers. Same goes for Oculus. Google Daydream and Gear VR 2, no one's given numbers except Sony. And the fact that everyone knows that they're number one in terms of VR headsets, and it's still a little bit under 1 million units sold, is kind of scary, considering they're the cheapest. Well, with the exception of... No, they still are the cheapest, because Gear VR requires an $800 cell phone plus a $100 headset. Google Daydream requires a $600 cell phone and a $100 headset, and PlayStation VR is a $400 headset plus a $300 system.
The best one still.
I wouldn't. Yeah, price wise, it's the cheapest. It has just, it's the best in terms of money.
It's definitely the most mainstream too, as far as content.
They actually have commercials and stuff, and it has name recognition, and it's already a dedicated video game system, and that's why PlayStation VR, first and foremost, is VR for video gamers, whereas Oculus and HTC, or rather Steam VR, are more so you're experiencing VR. That's why there's stuff like Google Earth VR and Tilt Brush, and lots of other really, really cool things that I wish were coming my way. But yeah, Viveport sounds cool. I'm sure you already have it if you have one, but if not, that's the kind of stuff that we can expect, hopefully from Sony, hopefully from Oculus in the future. Last little VR news here, and this one is pretty cool. Wall Street Journal reports that Sony is primed to follow HTC and IMAX into the VR arcade business. It wouldn't be run by the company, but rather outsourced with intention to make more consumers buy the units for their living rooms. There's no talk about America yet. This is mostly going to be dedicated, I would assume, to Japan and China, maybe like South Korea. And the idea is basically it's kind of like a, franchise. It's like, you can buy our units at cost. You're going to get a good deal. We want you to show off these kind of experiences in games. And then that way, in the same way, like I said, IMAX is already doing it. Lots of people can pay a fraction of the price to experience it either for the first time or, in the Viveport way, experience something that they're not sure they want to pay the full ticket price for yet. This is also going to help them get more units out in the wild, because even the sales to these arcades would count as sales. So that's cool. But right now, like I said, it's just a report by the Wall Street Journal, and that report was actually about a week ago at the time of recording. I haven't heard anything since then. So I'm sure it's true, but if it is true, we'll get, hopefully, confirmation at E3 in June. Because it's funny, too. PSVR just got actual, like, fairly big release in terms of VR gaming this past week. They had a game called Starblood Arena come out on Tuesday. Something that I'm not interested in. It's like a 6-axis of freedom deathmatch game where you're like in a pod flying around, and literally you can go anywhere, like yaw, pitch, tilt, like you can do barrel rolls and everything, and there's no campaign. It's just like dogfights and shit, which I just got, but I got a different game like that for free. I got E-Valkyrie, which I still haven't played because I don't know, I haven't done VR in a couple of weeks now.
Not since Werewolves Within.
Yeah, really. I just haven't put on the headset since then for some reason.
It's like, I said, it really tripped you out that much.
No,
like,
that wasn't it at all. It's kind of just...
Well, there was that shock when you took off the headset.
It was that, but it wasn't like, oh shit, I don't want to go back in again. It's more so, you just gotta invest time when you decide to do VR. You know, you gotta make sure your hair is a certain way unless it's short. Like, you gotta grab the headset and clean it up. You have to, like, get your beverages in order, make sure, like, you're comfortable. Get the game ready. You have to be in the right mind frame. You don't want to be too tired because you don't want to fall asleep with the thing on or something. Like, you can't have a headache. Like, after a long day at work, I really don't want to do virtual reality. And, like, given just the amount of work that I've had recently, it's not the downtime that I've wanted. Like, I'd much rather watch a movie or play video games with a friend or something. And then also, I kind of spoke about this when I first got the headset 6 months ago. I don't want to do every game I have right when I buy it, because then I'm just going to end up buying more games that I didn't even need in the first place. Yeah, like, I would say I've played almost half of the games I own. Like for a while there, I was spending a ton of money on digital games. Um, that I either would play one time and then be done with it or not play at all. I bought some physical ones too that I'm gonna play eventually. I think I'm more so just waiting to have like a party, like a VR party, like maybe when I get my own place again. Invite some people over. Oh, you want to try this one? You want to try that one? I got a carrying case for the thing, so I'm primed to go somewhere to throw one of
It'd be
these.
nice if you had like more than one headset at that point.
I wouldn't want more than
It's
one.
probably going to be difficult to buy.
No,
Right?
no, I could get one tomorrow if I wanted to. They're widely available in retail now, but
Price wise, I'm
well,
saying.
not even that. Just you can't do two at the same time in the same living room. You wouldn't want that. That'd be fucking stupid. But more so, just I don't know. I kind of, with the exception of certain games, it's an even more isolated experience than just sitting like in your lounge by yourself already is. And I would much rather some of the best experiences I've had in VR, like Worlds Within, notwithstanding, or my dancing in which Sports Bar VR,
Yeah.
or like the first time I did VR at all, or like the time I demoed the Oculus Rift at Best Buy with a buddy, and it was his first exposure to VR. Like these little experiences that stand out, the things that really do, outside of like using PSVR for the first time at a GameStop, was showing it to people, like showing it to you, or showing it to Blake, or showing it to my buddy Travis. Like letting someone else experience it for the first time have been some of my most memorable experiences, as I won't forget the look on their face, even though I can't see their whole face when they're within the headset. And I would much rather share the wealth that I've accumulated in this new realm instead of just hoarding it the way I kind of have been thus far. And I think I have to find more of those experiences, or kind
I'm
of.
there with you. It's those little things. I've been
Yeah.
watching Blake do it, seeing him bob his head. That was
Exactly.
pretty cool.
Like it really, it sells itself as more of an investment when you're privy to that kind of experience, even though you're not the one having it necessarily. Just, and I've talked about this a lot of times, the idea that VR as of now is really the only new medium of our lifetimes. I mean, you could also say like streaming media, but that's just media in a different way of ingesting. It's just a different platform. But this is completely new, even if it predated this generation of the medium. And it's still something that you can really blow someone's mind with by showing it to them. And I have just like, for instance, when Farpoint is released, it's like exactly a month from today, actually. And that, as of now, is primed to be like the most realistic VR experience on the market. When I have that controller and that game and my headset and my system, yeah, I might want to go to my dad's place and bring it over and let him experience that. I'm not sure if you'd be able to jump from never using it to that directly. It might have to be training wheels. Try this, try this, try this. Did you throw up? No? Okay, now you're ready for this. But even still, that's the one, because, it's like the idea of a killer app. Hopefully that's the one. I think everyone's hoping, especially me, since I pre-ordered the fucking thing, that we're all kind of hoping, especially since it's been 6 months since release, and there really hasn't been that many huge things besides like Resident Evil 7 and like the launch titles that have truly, even Starblood Arena, which came out this week, that have kind of complemented the introductory price. And hopefully this one is. That this could make people, even on the PC Master Race side of the equation, kind of look at it and go, I kind of want to buy one of those. I want to see what that's all about. Because there's a lot of people, especially that I've talked with or like seen in conversation on Reddit, that have two headsets. They either have Oculus and PSVR, or PSVR and HTC, or maybe they have HTC and Oculus, or they got a Gear VR and PSVR. Like, there's a lot of people that have dipped their toes in more than one swimming pool. And so they allow for an even broader conversation because they've had these experiences that I can't do because of exclusivity reasons or hardware limitations or whatever it is. And I'm hoping Farpoint could be that one. And if it isn't, you'll hear about it in dollar reviews and 2 cents or whatever in a little bit more than a month. But that's exciting. So here's another ad break. It's mostly for me to drink some water because I'm getting hoarse after talking for 12 hours straight today, basically.
Yeah. Man, what time are we at right now?
Almost 2 hours.
Oh man.
Yeah, that water was well deserved. Good news is the rest of the talking points are pretty quick. So I teased it at the beginning of the show, or at least in the teasers, not quite the beginning, but the 20-minute mark, that LA is looking to be the new home of Netflix, and there's proof in the pudding already, and then also what...
Sandy Wexler.
Well, not even just that. I was going to say Sandy Wexler, Santa Clarita Diet, Judd Apatow's Love, among other things, that Netflix... they kind of announced this week that they're looking to make California their new home / main shooting location, and they're looking to build up their LA office. So they've already got content out there that proves this, but then on top of that, the reason is, and I think I read this on THR, is they want to attract top-level talent, which they're already doing with people like Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. And I wonder when Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler are going to work together on Netflix. This idea that you can film movies like Bright or TV shows in LA and allow these celebrities, these actors, these directors that live in LA to not have to get a hotel or a condo for the remainder of the shoot, to pay these extravagant fees to, rent things across the country or gas or work with Teamsters in a different state or all these things. Like, the main reason why the industry left LA in the first place because they realized, one, LA is raising the price and taxing us because they're fucking stupid, and luckily that's gone down in recent years. But two, it's just way cheaper. Everything is cheaper. Gas is cheaper. Electricity is cheaper. Food is cheaper in places like Georgia or New York or Chicago. Like in different metropolitan cities that can easily work for LA or any location the way that LA can work for any location, even though it doesn't snow here or really rain. So if this is true, if they are doing this, if they are pushing millions and millions and probably billions of dollars, to be honest, into LA being their backdrop, we already got Martin Scorsese doing a film for them. You got, we're talking about Noah Baumbach, even though it's not necessarily him doing it for them, more so they bought it from him.
It's acquired. Yeah.
It's acquired. But in-house things, projects that they are nurturing, if they could become the new true LA studio, because Disney and Universal and Warner Brothers, all the big names, they don't actually film in their lots anymore. Like maybe 15% of the production is there. Like, like the new Batcave. Yeah, of course, that was on the Warner Brothers lot, I would assume. But the actual shit, like, no, they outsource that across the country, across the globe. Like, look at something like Fast and Furious 8. They shot in Cuba, I believe in China, and fucking everywhere. Georgia, like, everyone shoots in Georgia. Like, any Marvel movie shoots in Atlanta for some reason. And Netflix is looking to turn that. And on a service level, it's to attract more stars. I think it's also just they reinvented the wheel. They created the new norm of movies and TV. And if they could bring that back to Hollywood, that could create just another boom of industry. Like, maybe I could get a job in my backyard now.
Yeah.
It would be nice to work for a production studio where I live. The idea that I paid for this education and I thought that I would be able to walk onto a studio lot, and no, that's actually not possible anymore because even extras don't live here anymore. Like, it's crazy, and I hope it's true.
It gives people work.
I hope this is a real thing. I would...
Hey, Donald Trump, man, keep jobs in the U.S., bring them back.
Make American films great again. I think...
America first.
I think this is real. I think this is going to become a thing. Like, I think there's going to be more and more examples where it's going to be like every Netflix movie is made in L.A., with the exception of the things like the Defenders and the stuff that has to be shot somewhere for, like, selling reasons.
Stranger Things.
Yeah. Like, if it's actually set there and that setting is kind of pivotal to the plot, or maybe they already, it's the opposite. Like, say they want to make, they co-funded Black Mirror Season 3. Season 4 is still going to take place in the UK, or Britain, or wherever the fuck you want to call it, post-Brexit. And they wouldn't move that
the
to
United Kingdom. It's not the European
Is
Union.
it now? Is it now?
Actually, shit.
It's hard to really
yeah, no,
say.
That's true.
It's hard to say now. Brexit land. They're not going to relocate that to Hollywood.
French might have an exit too now. I gotta, that's going to be fun to vote for.
So, they're not going to relocate everyone. It's not everything going to be in Hollywood. And I think Netflix is the first studio that doesn't need an actual base of operations. That they can be headquartered anywhere since the internet is truly where they live. So they could have their Australian home and their Hong Kong home and their France home. I mean, they already have syndicated programming that's unavailable in certain countries anyway. Excuse me. Just make LA, the fucking cesspool that it is. Let's make that boom in the way to attract the top level stars so everyone wants to watch things on Netflix and then trickle down from there. So that'd be really cool. But they're not the only one changing things up. Like I said, the other teaser, YouTube TV. It launched a Wednesday a week ago. It's available currently in 6 markets: LA, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, 5 actually, and the San Francisco Bay Area. It's $35 a month with unlimited cloud DVR, which holds content for 9 months, which is really cool. And it covers ABC Disney, Fox, CBS, and NBC Universal. AMC is coming in the coming months with IFC and Sundance. Fuck you guys. Showtime is also available as an add-on because, as I said, CBS is part of that deal. You can also get...
How much is that?
Oh, what was that?
How much is
I don't know. I would assume that it's $8.99 or $10. I think that's a price point in Amazon and PlayStation.
It's a little less than the streaming package then off Amazon.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't actually look up the price points, and I don't know. I might do it. But if you can get a free 30-day trial, and if you pay 1 month in advance, you get a free Chromecast. So I might do it for that, but then a Chromecast only costs $35, so that's not actually saving money unless you don't have TV currently, and then it's kind of like you're getting the Chromecast for free or getting the TV for free, whatever way you look at it. What is kind of cool, though, and is important, is that the only distribution model currently is mobile first. So unlike DirecTV Now or PlayStation Vue or Sling, instead of it being on your laptop or your TV or your tablet, this is geared directly for the cell phone users. The idea here is they want you to use your Chromecast. You plug that into your TV. On your phone, you have the app. It's its own app. It's not within YouTube. It's its own app called YouTube TV. You use that as the remote and also the guide. You can watch it on your phone as well. And then you just Chromecast it, or Google Cast as it's called now, to your TV. Just like that. And so apps probably aren't going to be available on your gaming devices, or maybe tablets, but not computers. You're not going to be able to have this in your web browser for some time, probably until it goes nationwide, which who knows how long that could be. And, prior to this, we were talking about it and the possibility. We said that YouTube Red was going to be included, which is great because that's technically $10 a month. But Viacom, Food Network, and Turner aren't likely to come. Turner, obviously, because that's part of AT&T, or is going to be part of AT&T soon. So why would DirecTV Now have their content available on YouTube? Food Network, I don't know why that would be available, but then again, that got pulled from Netflix not too long ago, and also it's not available in PlayStation Vue, so they must have some kind of weird deal, or maybe they're trying to do their own thing since that's I forget who owns Food Network. But then Viacom, I really don't know why that exists, especially since, from the top of the show, Paramount just left Epic, so they're not even part of streaming anymore, unless they're looking to make their own dedicated thing also, which is very possible. So if you're doing YouTube TV, you don't have MTV, you don't have Comedy Central, you don't have Spike TV or the Esquire Network, like I said, you don't have Food Network or the Cooking Channel. There's a lot that you don't have. TBS, TNT, CW. No, I take that back. You have the CW, but only for these markets. Who knows when it goes live everywhere else. But you don't have CNN. You don't have HBO. So there's a lot there that it's missing. But in terms of the YouTube Red content, which is getting bigger, step up eventually. You have Scared PewDiePie Season 1, not Season 2, because he's a fucking prick who hates Jews. But all of that stuff, like Laser Team and shit like that, that's available. And I don't know if it includes YouTube Red also, where you can do YouTube without commercials, but it'd be awesome if it was. And also just everything that comes with that, like the Google Play Music subscription service without commercials, also being able to like minimize content on your phone. Maybe I'll do the free trial just to figure it out. Maybe I'll do the Chromecast just because I really want one. I'm not sure. But right now, it's cool. I mean, Hulu TV, whatever they're calling it, is going to be in a month or two also. So by then, we're going to have 5 competitors. It's going to be even wider market than the actual like cable satellite network is, which is weird to think about. Because right now, it's essentially Comcast, AT&T, Dish Network, and DirecTV. There's really only 4. And there's already more than that for just streaming TV.
And YouTube would just be more accessible. I don't know how to formulate this thought completely.
Well, they're all accessible. Like, they all have their strong points.
No, but I mean, like on a global scale.
Like, we can't say because right now,
not yet, but eventually in the long
it's
run
like
could be.
PlayStation View did the same thing. They all did the same thing. Like PlayStation View, I think it was the same markets instead of the Bay. No, yeah, it was San Francisco, L.A., New York, Chicago, Philadelphia. I think Boston, maybe Denver also. Mm-hmm. Like it was like just a very tight-knit 8 or so cities, and then it went wide several months later. YouTube's probably going to do the same thing. It's just, as of right now, even though it's having network problems, if you're on the go and you want to consume media always, DirecTV now is, sad to say, the best option, because if you have AT&T, they let you watch the shit for free. You get HBO for free. It has the most uptick. It's the loss leader. It's the cheapest for what you get. It just makes the most sense. If you have PlayStation and you use it all the time like I do, View makes the most sense. If you're built into the Google network, you already have a Chromecast, you have like a Google Cast network at home, YouTube might make the most sense. Like, they all have their upsides, and it's really going to be just like Amazon and Netflix are, where the power is in what they can offer that no one else does. And right now, YouTube, looking at what they got, the only thing that they really truly have is their DVR. The idea that there is a limitless cloud, the way that they sold the Pixel devices, where you don't have to ever worry about deleting a photo, because every single photo gets sent through the Google Cloud. You can go to photos.google.com and see every single one in full HD. You don't lose any content. It's raw image. The fact that they're doing that with their DVR, which is something that no one else offers, even the real cablers, yeah, that's awesome. And much in the same way that YouTube Red allows 6 users at a time, they don't limit it, kind of like Netflix does, you can also do that at YouTube TV. So everyone can have their own dedicated DVR, their own programs recorded, their own favorites list. Your whole house can do it. Better yet, if you have roommates and you got 6 roommates, everyone fucking pay $5 and it's super cheap, you know? So we really got to see how the next year pans out, because by then, everyone that's going to want to be part of it is going to be part of it, unless Epix announces Epix TV, and then Amazon TV. You know, like, if everyone, like Netflix TV, if everyone gets into live TV, which in certain respects you kind of have to, just in terms of not necessarily CNN, but kind of like in the Biodome way, where like local news is still important in certain ways. And then more so than that, like, you can do the Netflix model and wait for all the CW shows at the end of the season to show up, and then you binge them. But there's a beauty in watching them week to week, which is something that HBO hopefully never gives up. Like, there are people out there, like, even if AT&T is the villain, I doubt they would change HBO's, business model. It's a Sunday, it's that line from I Love You Man. It's not TV, it's HBO. Like, we're watching Game of Thrones. And it's going to stay that way, hopefully, for a long time, until it dies. Like, I don't know. But it's like, besides VR, I think the TV cord cutting era is probably something that I'm most fascinated in, just because it's geared towards us, just like VR. Like, it is 100% about our generation.
Yeah.
Because we never had our own cable package. Like, why would we? Why would we want to pay a 1-year deal for TV and it costs like $100 a month?
I mean, especially because we get pretty much all of our entertainment through the internet now.
Yeah.
That it's an archaic system to us.
Like, what do you mean I can't watch in this room? You gotta cut a hole in my wall and put a fucking line through there, and it has to be hardwired? I can't just do it over Wi-Fi? No, sorry, you can't do that. So, I don't know. Whenever Hulu's announced, or not announced, but whenever it's shown off again with an actual price point, because I think theirs is $40 or $45, but it's going to offer way more content, supposedly, just because it already is a collaboration between Fox, Time Warner, Disney, and I want to say NBC, or maybe NBC's not part of it, but it's most of the local networks anyway, that they're surely going to be part of it, and then hopefully a lot more, but we don't know. No one knows until Hulu decides to show off the curtain. probably the coolest thing that happened this week before the final headline, which is pretty awesome. And this is all connected. As I said, Verizon and Yahoo and AOL are getting married finally. Verizon is rebranding them even, and their media arm is now going to be known as Oath, as in take the oath or under oath or we swear this is illegal. The way this is working out, it seems like they are rebranding Yahoo in particular because of their horrible fucking problems over the last year or so.
Yeah,
but according
they're sending random emails to people that I know based on my contacts that are fucking traps.
That just happens, though. That everyone's had their email
It's happened
hacked.
a lot frequently.
Oh, you definitely need a better password then. Or
well, it's my high school email too, so I don't really get
less
a shit
phishing
about
accounts. But Verizon's come out and said, "Hey, we're not doing this because of all that shit." Yahoo Mail and Yahoo Sports and Engadget, like, they're not going to change names overnight. It's going to be a gradual transition that eventually, yeah, it's probably going to be Oath Mail or Yahoo Mail powered by Oath or something weird like that. But I know someone, Hyro, friend of the show, actually works for Verizon. I mean, does he work for Yahoo? No. Works for AOL? He works for Verizon, okay? And they're, like, he made a tweet about it. He's like, I guess I gotta take the oath now, or some shit like that. Weird name. Just, like, do people come up with these business names with puns in mind, or is this... What?
I mean, I don't see how you pitch it to people either, you know?
I can just picture the board meeting when they went, AOL... It's all right. American Online. Yahoo. Not all right. How about we put them together? What do we call that? They're just pulling the shit out their ass. Oath. Yeah, I like that. It's like oath, but with the H at the end.
Oh, maybe the design was cool.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think they have a design. I think it's just the name yet. I don't know if oath.com is even a thing. It probably is. It's probably parked. Just because. That'd be probably expensive, too. Or if they stole that from someone, but when you're Verizon, does it fucking matter? You can afford that. That's not really an issue. The bigger thing though, this is AT&T, Time Warner, HBO thing. I kind of already said during the top of the show, I thought it was a thing in the past, but yeah, AT&T is offering its HBO branding, or soon to be HBO branding, for free. You must be an Unlimited Plus subscriber and have DirecTV Now, or Uverse. And if you're already a subscriber to HBO under any of those platforms, it's going to be deducted from your bill. And then cooler than that, if you don't want any of those networks and you have AT&T and you have their unlimited plan, you can sign up for DirecTV and get only HBO a la carte. So that's $15 a month, which is really nice of them. And this just further extends my belief that in the not-too-distant future, you're only going to be able to watch HBO if you have AT&T or DirecTV. I don't think there's going to be any way of getting HBO now. Like, that's going to be gone. Like, it's going to be a strict, oh, you're on T-Mobile? You should switch to us. Your bill's $10 more, but hey, HBO costs $10 anyway, so you might as well switch over. And then T-Mobile did something this week. They paid, like, $8 billion in spectrum, which is supposedly going to be able to put them at the same level as Verizon and AT&T in terms of bandwidth, to the point where there's going to be almost no difference between the three carriers' coverage. And if that's true, that would most undoubtedly lead to Sprint, Nextel, Boost Mobile merging with T-Mobile finally, even though that was supposed to happen like a long time ago, before the T-Mobile AT&T merger was supposed to happen. So if that were, I don't know, like, I don't necessarily have a problem with smaller companies like them coming together to try to battle the giants, but then when they're doing that, they're becoming a giant, and then who's going to battle them? Like, there is no David and Goliath when you're already that big of a company. When you can drop $8 billion and it doesn't matter. Like, I'm a stockholder. I'm a T-Mobile stockholder. I have one share that's climbed 20 points since I've owned it, which is pretty cool, especially because I got that stock for free for just being a member. And so I kind of have something riding on this. Like, if they do succeed, if they do buy out Sprint, my stock is going to climb a lot. I'm sure I'll talk about them more. I'll have less reason to leave, you know? At the same time, the reason I kind of like T-Mobile, besides like the T-Mobile Tuesday thing, is they've always been the underdog. They've always kind of thunk different. Their branding, the magenta color scheme, their advertising, like just lots of things about them have felt so different that if you do buy out Sprint, if you do merge with them, if you spend all this money on the spectrum, if you are just as good, how are you going to be on the uncarrier still? Like, aren't you just going to be another giant? Like, aren't you just as scary as the other two? Or are you still going to claim to wear the purple tie in the boardroom? It's like, it's the weird things to think about, like how we pick our victors, like what heroes we really look at in the future.
And then aren't they more or less already necessarily big because they're so well known everywhere?
Well, they really aren't, though.
It may not be at the same level, but
in other countries, even it's not T-Mobile. Like it originally, and that's what's weird.
You can access T-Mobile in Canada though.
Oh, in Mexico too, but that's like a roaming thing, and I don't think it's actually T-Mobile. And what I was gonna allude to is if you go to Europe, especially Germany, one of their biggest phone companies is Dutch Telecom. Dutch Telecom created T-Mobile. That's what T-Mobile stands for, and yet it doesn't. Like they own just like a minority share. Like once upon a time they owned it all, and now they don't. Like they still have some oversight. Like they could spin it off eventually, but it's still its own thing here. And like it didn't even build on itself. Like it's only existed since like, what is it, like 1995 or something? And in the grand scheme of things, like if you look at that compared to AT&T, which has literally existed since the beginning of the phone industry, since that is Pacific Bell, that's Graham Bell's phone company. It's nothing. Like that means like Verizon is probably, fuck, how long is Verizon? Like that's what's crazy. Like my grandparents met working for the Verizon phone book. Or no, they work at Pacific Bell. My maternal grandmother met my step grandfather working at Pacific Bell. My stepmom worked for the Verizon Yellow Pages. So I've had several people in my family work for an industry that doesn't exist anymore at two of the biggest telecom companies in like a weird segment that they don't even fund at all, which is weird to think about now. It's like the phone companies used to print the phone books and give them to you for free. And what do they do now? Like literally.
I mean, now you just have the internet to find that stuff. So.
No, but I'm saying like that was something they did just as like
and they would just deliver it like, as a courtesy.
Yeah, it was a courtesy, like a human nature. It's like, don't you want to know everyone's phone number and all the businesses? And if you have an incident, you got this, and you got this huge fucking thing that you could use as a weapon or as a fucking doormat, or if you ran out of toilet paper or to start a fire. Like you could do anything with a phone book back in the day. Like now there are these like rinky-dink things because they print them on the magazine papers that are glossy. But once upon a time, like that was a serious resource. Truly.
Yeah.
And it was free. And these major corporations paid for it. Even if it was like only for the advertising. Like that's the idea. Like someone's job, like people that I'm descendants of, once upon a time, their job was to sell people on the page size for the ads that they wanted to put out in the Yellow Pages. And now you just get a website and you hope that your SEO is good enough that someone finds you. Or that your Yelp reviews are good enough that someone does business with you. Or something crazy like that. Oh, man. It's so weird. Just the way that industry works now. It's like in only a 20-year span.
I mean, it's, it seems like just it's rare to have any corporation, industry just to be that caring or giving in the slightest regard.
It's like Spotify kind of is still. They still offer everything for free. Which is kind of amazing until they don't. So they just signed a multi-year deal, a first listen deal, the first of its kind from their company, and they signed it with Universal Records, which seems on paper like it's Viacom, or not Viacom, that it's Comcast, so it's NBC Universal. Except no, I did my homework. Universal Records is actually not part of Comcast. It is an offshoot of Vivendi, when Vivendi Universal was a thing. So part of the way the stock market crash happened right then during the recession is Comcast got everything from like NBC Universal became a thing and then Comcast bought them, but then their video games and their records went to Vivendi, which is a French company. And they even own like 30% of Ubisoft. Like they're still like homegrown, which is something weird to think about. But anyway, so Spotify is going to have a first listen deal with Universal Records. Basically, premium subscribers are going to be able to listen to albums 2 weeks early, and then the singles from said albums will be available to everyone for free with commercial playback. And so this is the first of their kind, the first time ever. As a reaction, it like fucking spiraled out of control, and it's kind of funny. Jay-Z threw a hissy fit, and like the day later, he removed his entire library from Apple Music and Spotify. And this is noteworthy because Jay-Z...
Why would he do that?
Jay-Z owns Tidal, which is the third, or I guess the fourth streamer that matters. Or it's Tidal, Apple Music, Spotify, and then also YouTube. Or Google Play Music, whatever you want to call it. Google, okay? So it's Google, Apple, Spotify, and Tidal. So it's Jay-Z. But what's funny is, just like a day or two later, I guess his people in his corner told him he was stupid, so he returned his music to Apple Music. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. They're not the bad guys. It was Spotify. And so at the time of recording, Jay-Z's library is still not available on Apple Music. You can buy it on iTunes. I'm not on Spotify. You can still buy it on iTunes. You can still buy it from anywhere, but you can't stream it on Spotify, which I guess should matter, except how often do people really listen to Jay-Z nowadays? He's not the biggest name. I can't even remember the last time he put out a song, to be honest.
You better watch himself.
Not really. Like,
shake it fast. And watch yourself.
You really have to see Scary Movie 2 after making that line. No, like, big time. Like, yeah.
That's the one Jay-Z song that came to my head, and it's almost 20 years old.
No, it's definitely 20 years old.
So,
it's like the only Jay-Z songs that I even care about are the only Jay-Z songs I really care about involve Kanye in some way. Either it's on Watch the Throne, it's a Kanye song that Jay-Z's on, or it's a song that Kanye produced on the Black Album. Like, Jay-Z's career, in my opinion, really wouldn't exist in the way it exists without Kanye West. And you could also argue that Kanye West wouldn't exist at all without Jay-Z. So it's a fair back and forth. But
it's a working relationship.
Something of note, and, you know, this is all about Jay-Z basically wanting to make people remember that Tidal's a thing, is that every one of these labels / streaming networks that I've mentioned, besides Spotify, because this is the first time they've ever done this, has exclusives. Apple Music, they put out things first all the time, especially Drake. They have, like, the Beats One radio that he does. Chance the Rapper did Coloring Book for 2 weeks early on Apple. And that won Grammy Record of the Year this past year, too. Garth Brooks has an Amazon deal, which is still undisclosed for money. And so, streaming is so big that Kanye's The Life of Pablo actually just became the world's first streaming-only album to go platinum. I'm not sure how that happens. Do you count plays, or does it count as purchases? Like, I'm not sure, but it quote-unquote went platinum according to the RIAA, because they make up these things. But Chance the Rapper actually talked numbers. He was on Twitter because people were asking him right after the Grammy win or right before, like, how much money did you get for that? Are you a sellout? And he straight up said, I got $500,000, plus they made a commercial for me for going on Apple. It's rumored that Drake is getting $19 million, which makes sense because he's a way bigger dude. Chance the Rapper still hasn't even done a studio album. He just has 3 mixtapes. And then Garth Brooks is, you know, the biggest name in the country. So if Drake made $19 million and Garth Brooks' library is only on Amazon Music now, he must have made like 25, and, you know, that's nothing when they're spending $1 billion on fucking rockets. It's crazy. Like, I didn't even know streaming was this important, that someone would be literally a crybaby over it, like, the week before Coachella, and pull his music from one of the quote-unquote labels. I'm not even sure how he's able to do that in the first place, 'cause as far as I'm aware,
that's why I'm like,
he doesn't own his music. At least I didn't think he did. Or maybe he does. I don't know. It's really strange. I think that it actually comes down to the artist on Spotify, that it's at the artist's discretion if you want to be on there or not, and then you make, you know, fractions of a penny for every listen, like every 10 cents to listen to or whatever it is. I know some people that are on Spotify. I could ask them, but then again, I don't think they brokered the deal. They just use like a website to get on there in the first place. It's kind of like how we're everywhere but Spotify, but I don't know exactly how that works. I just said, hey, you want us? And they said, yeah, of course, and now we're there.
So, I thought we weren't.
No, we're not on Spotify. We're everywhere else but Spotify, because Spotify is stupid, and the only way you can get a podcast on Spotify is if you're like a name brand name, like Serial or S-Town or fucking Mark Maron or like something like that. Like, you have to literally have word of mouth recognition, which is like the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, because local bands without an actual label can get on Spotify. And they don't have name brand recognition or a fan base. Like anyone can do it except podcasters. Like they've made it into a music first entity, which I'm okay with because we're also not on Tidal, and after something like this I kind of wouldn't want to be there. So whatever. Well, I think of the show because I'm tired, and you obviously are too, and probably our listeners, because who the fuck listens to a 2.5 hour podcast? But yeah, MCU. I started the show talking about the Defenders, talking about Thor Ragnarok the other day, talking about releases in November and all that kind of shit. TV is still a thing they're trying to do, even if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is, maybe dead or maybe not, or who watches it, so who cares. But the network they own, Freeform on cable, previously known as ABC Family, has landed its second Marvel direct-to-series order. The first one was for Cloak and Dagger, which is casting soon, and it's probably like a year out or something for them show. The new one is for a show called New Warriors, a.k.a. the Squirrel Girl show. I don't know anything about her, but I know everyone loves her. I know that she looks like a squirrel and she can talk to squirrels, and that's enough for me. I'm definitely going to watch this. But it's real confusing because they got Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had Agent Carter, now they have these two Freeform shows. So that means they have 4 DC shows. I mean, they have 4 MCU shows plus the 4 on Netflix. So they have like a combined 8. Except outside of the Netflix world of things, I don't know how any of it works together. It's still really weird, even though the MCU is supposed to be this like overly connected entity, despite only Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. working, like you were talking on Dollar Reviews, between Winter Soldier and shit like that.
Yeah, that's a critical
like
part
the quick little, oh yeah, check it out, we got this thing going on for a minute here. Whereas the DCEU currently has 5 shows that are all connected and crossover on the CW right now, or at least Black Lightning, its 5th one, is coming. I think the pilot's already out there, and it's going to be starting like in a month or two. Monday through Friday, you have a different slice of pie, and you can enjoy them individually or all together, and they're all interconnected in the same universe, and they know each other, and they drop in and out of one another, which is something that, with the exception of the Netflix shit, Marvel just can't compete with. So unless this New Warriors show and Cloak and Dagger are connected in some way, it's going to be a severely missed opportunity. It's going to be ridiculously stupid. These shows are coming out when Phase 3 is like almost over, so it's going to be quote-unquote 3 generations of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just don't know what Disney is doing here. Like, this is... It's Freeform. It's ABC Family, Like, I don't think Freeform is on YouTube Live, or YouTube TV, or PlayStation View, or anything like that. Like, even though they have the ABC Disney deal, I'm not sure if that's included. I know ESPN is an ABC. I would hope Freeform is. If it isn't, then that's really stupid. But then, why put this on Freeform in the first place when everyone's moving away from cable, and why not just make this Netflix? Is them doing Freeform their way of trying to make their own network away from ABC? Is that why it's not ABC Family anymore? Like, I got all these questions for Disney, and I don't think they have any answers because they're still trying new things. Makes sense for the CW, though.
They can afford to. I mean, they got a lot of money.
Of course they got a lot of money, but the best way to make more money is to make wise decisions. Like, literally, if they started a streaming network, called it anything, who cares? Disney Streaming 101. 2 of the shows in the pipeline are Cloak and Dagger and this New Warriors show. Plus, you can stream all of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all of the Netflix shows, all of whatever. You have instant access to the MCU and all of the movies that are in the vault. Except you do it like in the vault, where every couple of months, and it would make sense in the Netflix way, where they rotate. It's like, this month you have Dumbo, and you have Aristocats, and you have The Lion King. 2 months from now, you get The Little Mermaid, and you get Mulan, and you get this one. And that way, they'd be able to retain their exclusive nature that they've always had through their home video releases. The fact that you can't go to Best Buy currently and buy, like the animated version of Pete's Dragon, even though the live action one just came out, makes sense for Disney because that's always been their idea. It's like their gimmick that even Nintendo does. Like certain people, they want to have this false city of supply and demand when they create the whole thing themselves. So they're like so forlorn and withholding when it comes to their Marvel property in a TV space, and yet they'll put out 2 or 3 a year in the Cineplex. They'll do one Marvel or one fucking Star Wars movie every year, guaranteed. We're about to get one indie movie every year. What is it, like 2 Pixar's, 2 Disney animateds? Like,
Yeah.
they're when it comes to the theatrical model, they are the king of that, and they'll do whatever the fuck they want. And yet, I'm so lost in TV now and always. Like, the Disney Channel is like even the weirdest thing too, that they make these direct to
Well,
TV
there's nothing
movies.
really that popular there anymore.
No,
Is
there
there?
is though. They have Disney XD, and that has like they have whatchamacallit. They have Star Wars Rebels, which is a big hit for the Star Wars
Okay,
people.
yeah,
Then they have
that's
the
yeah.
Lego show that's tied to that called like it's called, like Lego Star Wars, the fucking Freemaker Chronicles or something like that. They have a DuckTales reboot coming soon. A couple other things. So I just don't get it. Like if you have all this content between ABC and Freeform and ESPN and the movies, like they have all of these possibilities, and yet either they don't want to do it because they don't want to invest this money in something that isn't a proven industry. Like they're taking the Apple route, they're waiting until it's a proven success to try it out, or they're not doing it at all. And in both situations, I think it's really foolish because I know Disney doesn't take any chances ever, but
Well, Tomorrowland.
not really. I mean,
Every once in a
like,
while. I mean, I don't
sure,
know.
Haunted Mansion was a chance. Pirates of the Caribbean was a chance. The
John Carter.
Jungle Cruise, which has just got greenlit 100% with The Rock, is a chance. Except that one's really not because it's The Rock, and it's gonna make gangbusters. Period.
Yeah.
So they have experiments, but they don't do real gambles. Like, when's the last time they had a fully original film that wasn't part of their animated circle? If they make so many live action films, why not make something that isn't an IP?
Even then, Disney's not well. Okay, Zootopia, I
Not
guess.
animated is what I'm saying.
But yeah,
It's like they make more live action than animated now.
even then though, like their animated stuff is always based on some, and this goes way
Well,
back to when Disney was making those.
That could be true about Zootopia. We don't know. Like Wreck-It Ralph is original. I do love what John Lasseter does at the Disney Animation Studios. I think they're more so than Pixar currently. Maybe, I don't know. I really like Warner Animation Group, but they only have 2 movies, so it's hard to really say that I'm a fan.
Well, they got all the stuff with Animal Logic, don't they?
No, like Warner Animation Group
Or
only started. It started after the Lego Movie. No. Let me find out. Let me grab that fucking Blu-ray. Did it start with that one? Because I know Lego Batman and also Lego Ninjago and that Scooby Doo
I
movie.
don't know where Happy Feet counts with that, or if that's just Animal
No,
Logic.
yeah.
That's
Warner
still-
Animation Group was created after the success of the Lego Movie, and it's their WAG group, and that's their in-house CG animation department, which is overseen by like Phil Lord and Chris Miller and a couple other people.
Yeah, it's the Lego Movie's the first one then.
Yeah, and like I said, the Scooby Doo movie, which is called Scooby, which is gonna kick off the Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe. If you forgot
Yeah.
about that,
Oh, they got 3 movies then because Storks came out, even though everyone forgot about that.
was that WAG though? You could check the Wikipedia.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it was.
So yeah, they got 3 then, and then they got another one this summer, and then Scooby is early next year, and then they're probably gonna have 1 or 2 every year. I mean, they got the Lego Movie sequel next year as well. What else? I'm sure eventually they're gonna have an animated Batman movie or slash just animated DC period, or not. I don't know. That's what's weird. Like with the Lego movie universe, with that shared universe, since you've already done a spin-off for Batman, if they were to make an animated Batman movie, would that be too weird? Would they have to get Will Arnett? Would like film goers go for that? Because for Sony, it's okay to make their Spider-Man animated thing because they've never done that. But I don't know if Warner Brothers could get away with that because they haven't had an animated Batman movie since in theaters since '93. So I got no clue.
No, neither.
But yeah, that's the show. Thanks for listening if you listened all the way. We're both going to sleep now.
I lost my pirate energy from the beginning. I mean, my eyes shut a couple times. I'm not gonna lie.
That's fun. I want to shut mine.
Yeah, I'm totally powering down.
I'm definitely gonna shut my mouth. It is very sore. But yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WordPress, Tumblr. You can find us. You can listen to us on Google Play Music, iTunes Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, SoundCloud, Podcat. If you liked what you heard, a like would be nice, a follow would be better, a retweet would be amazing, and if you subscribed and told your friends, we love you. We like talking to people, especially you. Yes, you, the listener. We'll take your opinions with a grain of salt, but we'll take your recommendations for free. We'd love to watch a movie that you want us to watch. Just check our filmography to see if we've already done it, because, hey, I don't want to make fun of you on air. But yeah, have a good one. Hopefully it's not another week and a half, 2 weeks before the next episode of this one. We're almost at 100. It might be the end, but have a good one.
See you next time.